Something like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillar. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead and hit that like button, because you already know what time it is, and you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well, but what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks, today we are back with another edition of the Ruthless Nice Guy, being awarded to the one, the only, Arsenio Hall. Yep. Shout out to Arsenio Hall. He is being awarded the Ruthless Nice Guy. Last one in for the year. Shout out to Arsenio Hall. But before we go too far into this, y'all, let me take a quick moment out to say shout out to everybody who gives my channel views on a regular basis. Appreciate it big time. Thank you for what you do. And that's real talk. Shout out to everyone who leaves comments after the stream, because that helps with the algorithm. You can help grow the channel that way. So shout out to y'all for doing that. Appreciate that. That's showing a lot of love. Shout out to the people who hit that like button. Y'all know the like button helps a whole lot. So make sure you always hit that like button. Also, shout out to everybody who hype me up every chance they get. They got this new hype system going on. Hype me up every chance you get. That's just real talk. Make sure you do that. And shout out to the people who go above and beyond the call of duty who become financial contributors over here at the Roger Report Live. And I try to make sure I give a thank you to every single person who does so, no matter how big or how small that was. So I'm going to say shout out to Clay Bisbee 704. He is the sponsor of today's stream. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you, my brother. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do. And that's real talk, y'all. And y'all, we gonna get into it, y'all. Another edition of the Ruthless Nice Guy. And today's award is going to Arsenio Hall. And, I figured it's just a good thing because, unfortunately, I have lost a few channels. And we've honored some great people over here at this channel. So I figure, man, might well say something about some of the great folks that have been honored in the past. And the Ruthless Nice Guy is the way to have a shot at becoming a living legend here at the Roger Report Live. A Ruthless Nice Guy can help you become a living legend, a living legend over here at the Roger Report Live. Okay, so the ones that have been honored in the past, I have honored Jesus himself, y'all, the living God, Jesus, as the first living legend over here at the Roger Report Live. I told y'all I have Christian beliefs. It doesn't make any sense for me to honor somebody as a living legend and not honor him first. So it is what it is because it don't make no sense not to. Real talk, okay? Now, shout out to Michael Jordan, who was also a living legend over here at the Roger Report Live. The name speaks for itself. His name is actually something we use to show people's greatness. That person is the Michael Jordan of this or the Michael Jordan of that, okay? Living legend over here at the Roger Report Live. Shout out to Robert Smith, a living legend over here at the Roger Report Live. Made famous to me based on him saying, you know what, Morehouse? I got the whole class, man. I got the whole class. Don't even worry about your debt, man. You done came in here. You done put in a lot of work, got your education here. Don't even worry about your college debt. I got it. Shout out to a brother who does something like that. That's a lot of dedication to black men and black men's education. Okay. Shout out to the one, the only Bill Cosby. Okay. A star maker amongst black people, y'all. One of the greatest to ever do it. One of the greatest comedians in the game. Had one of the greatest shows on television and has made multiple stars. Okay. Shout out to Bill Cosby and everything he's done. And even the spinoff, he had the whole thing popping with A Different World. Later on, did a different Cosby show. If y'all remember that, Bill Cosby, I ain't got to explain why he a living legend, okay? I ain't really even got to explain that, okay? And shout out to Deion Sanders, who's also become a living legend over here at the Roger Report Live. Now, I'm saying these names, y'all, because you can't become a living legend unless you become the Ruthless Nice Guy. That's the way it work over here, y'all. You got to be a Ruthless Nice Guy first, and out of those Ruthless Nice Guys, if you live long enough, you can become a living legend. And we've covered a lot of other folks who got the living legend. So shout out to Eddie Murphy. He's up for a living legend because he's become a Ruthless Nice Guy. Same thing with Chris Brown. We had Keith Lee, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dr. J, Julius Erving himself, and others. But today we are adding to this list of the Ruthless Nice Guys, Arsenio Hall. Okay? We talking about the Arsenio Hall, y'all. The Arsenio Hall. Now, before I heard of Arsenio Hall, I had never heard the name Arsenio. That's real talk. Okay? Now, I know there's Arsenio Hall Jr. I don't know if we'll get another Arsenio after that. But I'm going to say for those who name their kids after famous people, why not Arsenio? Real talk. Why not Arsenio? Shout out to Jay Bones. Appreciate you big time, my brother. Jay Bones has just chopped in. First super chat of the day. And thank you for helping me get off to the good start. I appreciate it big time, brother. I appreciate it big time. He said, happy holidays to everyone. Morning. What's up, Roger? Hey, what's up, Jay Bones? Always good to see you, my brother. Always good to see you. Appreciate you big time. And let me give some shout outs to some of the first people to check in this morning because when you start a show, it's always good to see that you got a couple folks rocking with you and they come on in and make themselves known over here at the Roger Report Live. And we like to call those people the Highlander of today's stream when you are the first one to do it. So shout out to today's Highlander, my main man, Lewis. Red Pill Sleeper Cell is in the building. Good to see you, my brother. Good to see you. Shout out to Floyd Thompson. What's going on, my brother? Yay, yay. My main man, Trail Billy, representing right behind him. Hashtag long live the habitual line steppers. Hashtag Negroes in the wilderness. Hashtag dignity over vagina. Hashtag Al Gore's babies. And my personal favorite, hashtag Hell Hydra. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you. Shout out to Bucky. Bucky done pulled up a seat at the cool table. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. We got Afro Merchant in the building. Great to have you, brother. Great to have you. Jay Bones, of course, is here. I mean, we know that first super chat of the day. Good to have you, my brother. Good to have you. Superstar Jay Quick is also here. Good to see you, friend. Good to see you. And y'all, we about to get into this. We gonna honor the one, the only. Well, maybe technically it's two Arsenio because of his own son. But shout out to Arsenio Hall, the next ruthless, nice guy, to have a chance at becoming a living legend. Okay. Now, why Arsenio Hall? Why Arsenio Hall, y'all? Do y'all understand Arsenio Hall helped change the makeup of America? Okay. Do you understand Arsenio Hall helped change the makeup of America, y'all? America does some certain things. It has certain issues. It does some things to correct the issue here and there. Sometimes, we as black men, we got to step in here and we got to make things, and we make great changes in this country, y'all. We make great changes. And I'm going to say Arsenio Hall made a huge change. It helped a lot of black people out. Okay, let's just keep it real. It helped a lot of black people out. Especially when it came to rap. All right? Arsenio Hall, a man who is, let's keep it real, y'all, a great comedian. Okay, that he got his start with comedy, y'all. Arsenio Hall got his start with comedy. All right? He made a name for himself with comedy. All right? I mean, it's good to have friends in the right places, y'all. Happens to be buddies with another ruthless, nice guy, Eddie Murphy. Okay? Happens to be buddies with Eddie Murphy. All right? Man, I'm talking about hanging out with the right people can do you a lot of good. Hanging out with the right people can do you a lot of good. And as a buddy of Eddie Murphy, the man has had some opportunities to do a couple great films before he started his television career his talk show career, I should say, with the Arsenio Hall show, which became an iconic show. Let's just keep that real, y'all. Arsenio Hall show became an iconic show. Okay? And you know what it was doing? An amazing thing that it was doing, even though Arsenio Hall was the first black late night guy. Okay? I'm not going to say he was the first black talk show host. He may not have been that, but he definitely was the first black late night guy on the talk show scene. And Arsenio Hall started whooping on the white folks, y'all. Back when he got on air, this was when like Jay Leno was just taking over the Tonight Show. I don't know if Johnny was still on air, but Jay Leno had, took over the Tonight Show. David Letterman, he moved the show because, he was trying to compete with Jay Leno. Arsenio Hall started whooping on both their heads, y'all. Arsenio Hall literally became the late night king, okay? The late night king, just not a guy that has a talk show that comes on in the evening time. No. He became the king, man. Real talk. Now, will people give him that respect for becoming a king? Hey, who knows? Who knows, okay? But in reality, he did become the king. Real talk. And Arsenio Hall started redefining late night television. Okay. He did basically what he wanted to do. All right. He was an executive producer on the show. He was able to call a couple more shots than maybe other people could have called. And I'm going to say he called a bunch of the right shots because point blank period, when it came to late night television, man, he turned into the man. It just is what it is. You know, people can be upset about the fact that he turned into the man, but he turned into the man. And he did it as a black guy. Y'all, when they do all this stuff to say black people can't do this, black people can't do that, black people just, sometimes we just start participating. We just take over. And Arsenio Hall was another case of black men taking over. So shout out to him for that. For destroying people when it came to the late night television scene. Okay. Shout out to Trail Billy, who was telling that real talk, y'all. Telling that real talk. Arsenio Hall became such a juggernaut. You had to come to him to help your situation now. And as Trail Billy just put in the chat, Bill Clinton, y'all. That's what was it? I forget what type of congressman he was, but he was representing Arkansas. Okay, running for president of the United States. You know what reality said? Reality said, in order for me to appeal to black voters, I need to do something where I can shine among some black voters. I need to create some level of impact so black voters will rock with me to a certain degree. You know, hey, I need some black votes. I want to win this election. Okay? I'm running for president of these United States, and I want to win. Yeah, shout out to Trail Billy. He was the governor. Bill Clinton is the former governor of Arkansas. That's where he fit in. He wasn't a congressman. He was the former governor of Arkansas. Shout out to you, Trail Billy. Appreciate you having my back, my brother. Appreciate you having my back. You know? So what did Bill Clinton have to do in order to represent for the black people? Because he wanted some black votes. All the politicians want some black votes. I mean, let's keep that real. They want votes from everybody. So you definitely want some black votes because black people can make you cool. And that's what kind of happened with Bill Clinton. Black people gave him a stamp of approval of being cool. And how did he do that? He went to the Arsenio Hall show. Real talk. Famous at that time for playing the saxophone on Arsenio Hall show. He was looking for cool points. And you know what? Because he actually came to Arsenio Hall show, he did something black people can respect. He showed a little talent. Nobody said he had to be the best, but he showed a little talent, got that saxophone, and he instantly got some cool points because black folks was like, man, y'all know dude running for president? Yeah, the Clinton dude. That man was on Arsenio Hall last night playing the saxophone. Okay? So if you missed the show, you was told about it. That was a big deal, y'all. And that was a big reason why Bill Clinton was able to win a presidency of the United States. The simple compound effect that was going on because he went to Arsenio Hall's show and played that saxophone. Okay? Now, I'm going to say shout out to Bill Clinton for doing it. It was a very smart move on his part. Whoever was in his camp who said, you know what you need to do, Bill? Let me tell you what you need to do. You need to go on that black guy show. Yeah, the late night guy, you need to go on that black guy show. Yeah, the Arsenio Hall show, yeah. I ain't saying don't go to Jay Leno. I ain't saying don't go to David Letterman. But what you need to do is go to Arsenio Hall show. Because realistically, what you're not going to do is win the election without going to him. That's what you're not going to do. What you're not going to do is get the black voters if you don't mess with Arsenio Hall. And they were right. They were right, y'all. Now, Arsenio Hall, shout out to him for his great work. Because again, y'all, he started off as a comedian. Okay, he's had different opportunities and to have simply made the best of them. And as I was saying, being friends with Eddie Murphy, man, messed around, did 2 movies that became, I'm talking about classic movies, y'all. Y'all remember Arsenio Hall and Hoodlum? Okay, y'all remember that? Arsenio Hall did his thing, y'all. Okay, and showed that he has the chops, y'all. And keep in mind, he was rocking with the best of them, y'all. You know, he was rocking with the best of them. Because who was his guy? Another Ruthless nice guy. All right. Another Ruthless nice guy. His friend, Eddie Murphy. All right. It's good to be in the right company sometimes, y'all. It's good to be in the right company. Now, am I saying that he didn't earn that? No, I ain't saying that at all. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I said Hoodlum. Excuse me. No disrespect. I said Hoodlum, another great movie. Black folks, great stuff. But I meant to say Harlem Nights. Okay? I meant to say Harlem Nights. Him and his buddy Eddie Murphy. Harlem Nights, y'all. Okay? Now, if that ain't a classic, you don't know what a classic is. All right? And I'm going to say one of the greatest movies ever to grace anyone's movie screen. One of the best comedies of all time. That's right, y'all. I don't care who did what. When it comes to a movie about some comedy, one of the greatest comedy films ever to this day. Coming to America, y'all. Coming to America. The original Coming to America, released in 1988. Literally one of the greatest comedies of all time. Easily, if you ask me. Easily one of the greatest comedies of all time. All right? And this movie ain't the same without Arsenio Hall. It just ain't the same, okay? Shout out to Trev Bentley. Yep, to this day, okay? To this day, y'all, one of the greatest comedy movies of all time. What Arsenio Hall did in that movie, the way he played off Eddie Murphy, you know, the things he did to take that film to the next level, y'all. It only makes sense for somebody to say, you know what? This guy good, okay? we not using him enough. We as in Hollywood, we ain't using him enough. Y'all know what this dude need? He need his own show. That's what he need. It don't make no sense for us to have access to a brother this talented and not be using him on a regular basis. We need to give him a show. Okay, so somebody smart eventually said, hey, you know what? You right. Get that man a show. That's what you do. You get that man a show. And I'm going to say shout out to whoever was in position to make that happen. One of the greatest moves you ever did in your life. Real talk. I don't know what else you did. I don't know what else you've been attached to. It don't even make a difference. When you decided to give Arsenio Hall a show, you made one of the best moves of your life. Okay? Now, you probably married. You probably got kids. I'll let you have that. You know what I'm saying? One of the best moves of your life, I give you, you marry whoever your wife is. I'll give you had your kids, whoever they are. But after that, it was giving Arsenio Hall a television show. Whatever you did in life, it fails in comparison to that, y'all. It don't even come. I'm going to give you your wife and kids, okay? I'm going to let you have that. I'm going to let you have that. And some of the best moves of your life. But after that, it's giving Arsenio Hall a show. Real talk, okay? Because he changed what late night television is. And truth be told, he changed what television is, period. That's what Arsenio Hall did. We didn't realize it at the time, okay? But Arsenio Hall changed what television is. And I'm going to have to give him his proper respect. He changed what mainstream media is. Yeah, that's what he did. Okay. Now, Arsenio Hall, great guy. What you don't hear about Arsenio Hall is him being bad to people, him snaking people. You know, he carries himself in a good, right way. Okay, a good, right way. A brother that we can be proud of, and we are, which is why he's becoming the next Ruthless nice guy, because we definitely proud of that brother. Okay, showed off his acting chops. Him and Eddie, as they was dressing up, as they was dressing as different characters and coming to America, yo, I got to give him his props, y'all. I got to give him his props. Okay, got to give him his props. All right. Now, Arsenio Hall truly carries himself as a nice guy. Let's be real about that. Okay. And you know what? Shout out to Southpaw. Southpaw just put it in the chat. He said Arsenio used to substitute for Joan Rivers on her Late Show back in 1987 and 88. So thank God, Joan. So thank God for Joan Rivers and RIP. Well, you know what? I'm gonna say this: the folks over at the Joan Rivers show, because this did happen. This definitely did happen. Okay. Well, Arsenio would fill in for her sometime. All right. And Joan Rivers was an old lady. Even back then, she was an old lady. She was one of them people that she been old my whole life. I don't ever remember a young Joan Rivers, okay? But she was a funny white lady that was respected. So she did, a considerable amount of work during her lifetime. And the people over there said, if Joan is out, we need somebody to fill in. We just can't get anybody to fill in. We need somebody maybe with a fresh face. Somebody that everybody can quote unquote appeal. Well, somebody who can appeal to everyone. So somebody said, you know what? Let's get that Arsenio Hall guy. He looks like he got it. He looks like he got it. If Joan is out, why don't we let him fill in? Okay. And that led to somebody saying, that boy needs his own show. Okay. That's what he needs. Okay. Well, him filling in for Joan Rivers, great. But that boy needs his own show. Okay. So shout out to, whatever white person, because I'll say it probably was some white person. Shout out to the white person who was smart enough to see Arsenio Hall fill in for Joan Rivers and say that boy needs his own show. Okay. That boy needs his own. And I'm not saying boy in a racist way. Hey, you could have said it that way, but I'm not going to even do that to you. I'm not going to do it to you. I'm going to say you were highly impressed. And you were just saying that old expression about, that boy needs his own show. Okay? That's what I'm going to do for you. All right? Real talk. So, and shout out to Southpaw. That's what got it off the ground. Okay? That's where people were seeing the light because he was filling in for Joan Rivers and doing such a fantastic job. So they started to see the light. All right? Now, what did Arsenio Hall do for television? All right. His big main thing was he actually brought the rap game to late night television, which changed how people saw rap around the world. He the one to do that, y'all. See, a lot of rappers back then was still trying to get in places. They still trying to get some doors open. But let's keep it real. Mainstream America seen him as a bunch of niggas. Okay? And mainstream America wasn't really trying to help them niggas. Truth be told, mainstream America had a problem with rap in the first place because it was another music form dominated by black men. So they ain't like it. Let's just keep it real. And y'all know how it is. When you get a new form of music, the older people don't like it because it ain't what they grew up with in the first place. A lot of people do it that way. But when it comes to America that had a problem with all that newfangled stuff them niggas done created. Okay, that's the history of America. What is that newfangled stuff that y'all doing? What is y'all doing around here? That's what happened when black folks create a musical genre in this country, which we've made a few. Okay. Shout out to the folks who created country, rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? We done made rap. Okay. We do the thing, man. We do the thing. But that don't mean white people like it in the beginning. And rap got a lot of pushback. And see, if you wanted to expand your presence, keep in mind, y'all, wasn't no social media back then. You want to expand your presence, you got to go do certain television shows. You got to get out there in front of the people. It's hard to sell a record when don't nobody know you put a record out. Okay, hard. And folks had to get up and go buy the record at that point. Y'all remember, we had to get up and go buy the record. It wasn't no, we just gonna stream this music. Ain't no, when he dropped the album, I could just listen to it when I want to. No. We had to go pick that record up. Okay, we had decisions to make. And a lot of these brothers and sisters, they couldn't get on late night television. Okay, they really couldn't do it until it was a guy named Arsenio. Somebody gave him a haul. Next thing you know, there's a place in late night television where you could be a rapper, actually go do your thing, not just do your thing and perform and get up out of there. You actually go sit on the couch. You actually go talk to the host. You can get some words in. You can get your positions in. Okay? And y'all, not only did he do all this, changing the game of how mainstream television works, he actually brought people on and had views that was controversial to mainstream white America. See, Arsenio Hall didn't do you like other folks did you. You can come to his show and tell your side of the story. Okay? When other people locked you out, especially because you was a quote-unquote nigga to them, Arsenio Hall didn't do you like that. Arsenio Hall let you come say your piece. Real talk. And Arsenio Hall was moving fearless amongst people trying to shut him down for any reason. Now, I don't know if y'all remember. Y'all can still find it. It's a clip online you still can find now. The gays they attacked Arsenio Hall. Now, I don't know if it was a strategic thing, because it seemed that way, but the gays attacked Arsenio Hall. All right, shout out to the gays, okay? Shout out to the gays. But it was one of them, or maybe a group of them behind the scenes, but they went to Arsenio Hall show. You had a gay man stand up and attack Arsenio Hall, try to play him, saying he was prejudiced against the gays. And now this is well before they started talking about the LGBT and all that type of stuff. The gays went to attack Arsenio Hall. Now, why they attack Arsenio Hall, I don't know. I'm just going to keep it real, y'all. I don't know why they attacked Arsenio Hall. Arsenio Hall ain't really did anything to mess with them, at least not that I'm aware of. So why they go to attack Arsenio Hall? I honestly believe it's just another way to try to take a black man down. But they went to the Arsenio Hall show. Now, if you see the clip, you'll see the one guy standing up talking. Do I believe he was working by himself? No, I don't believe that at all. I believe he was sent. Okay, now maybe the gays came up with a plan to take this nigga down. Okay, and this is how we gonna go about it. And you gonna be the person who get up and start doing the most talking or whatever. They probably decided all that. Was the guy working alone? No, I don't believe that, y'all. I don't believe in coincidences like that. When a gay man just come to Arsenio Hall to attack him, I mean, come on, what we doing? What we talking about? Arsenio Hall didn't do nothing to hurt gay people or anything like that. At least not that I'm aware of. I can say that. Okay, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't aware of it either. And the gay man who tried to attack Arsenio Hall and bring him down, Arsenio said, whoa, I ain't running from this. We're going to deal with this head on. You going to come to my show and try to attack me and mess up my credibility amongst the people that I ain't said nothing negative about? You see, I keep saying, y'all, it's good for black men to move as a nice guy. But when certain scenarios come up, you got to be ruthless. Okay? And I'm going to say Arsenio Hall did the best way he could for that particular situation. Some gay man show up at his show to attack him for no apparent reason. We can definitely say that. There was no apparent reason that he would attack Arsenio Hall. But I'm going to look at it like this, y'all. That nigga was doing too well. That's what I'm going to look at it like. Because I understand late night television was ruled by these white men out there. And this black man came up there and he started stomping the yard, okay? Black man got to stomp in the yard. Black man even started getting better ratings than them. Black man was changing what late night television was. So what do? You find some people to attack them. And yeah, I'm very sure. Now, I can't prove it, but I don't buy into coincidence like that. I'm very sure some gay white man was sent to attack Arsenio Hall, and Arsenio Hall had to check him. Okay, real talk. Well, you don't have no gays on the show. How you know I ain't got no gays on the show? Because let me tell you for a fact, okay, it's folks out here who live that type of lifestyle, but they don't do it publicly. Why would I out them? See, you ain't got no respect. You trying to attack me, you ain't got no respect. If they live that type of way and they ain't public about it, why would I out them? What good that gonna do for me to out somebody who came as a guest on my show and start putting out stuff about them that they don't want out? Why would I do that to them? See, I get it. Some folks just don't understand respect. Okay, some folks just don't understand respect. All right. But Arsenio Hall does, and I'm gonna say shout out to him from not running from that gay guy who I personally believe was sent to take his show down. Tried to create some outrage situation where people could go to the different companies and the network and say, hey, you need to take him off of air because of this. I believe that's what they was trying to do. Why? Because that black man was kicking those white folks' butt on late night television. All right. And it became an avenue for black men to go and actually be able to speak on his show where they wasn't really allowed to speak in other places. That's real talk, y'all. See, if you black and you want to say what you want to say, you basically have to be white supremacy approved to get on television. But you could get way more out there if you went to Arsenio Hall show. Real talk. Shout out to Bruce on Wayne. Thank you very much for the super chat, my brother. Appreciate you big time. Appreciate you big time. He say finna throw salt in the game for all y'all niggas. Well, if you referring to that gay man who went to Arsenio Hall show to attack him for no apparent reason, I definitely agree that was what was going on. Okay, I definitely agree that was going on. He came out there, he was doing his thing, he was too good. They didn't know what to do with him. Couldn't really do nothing with him. So they sent some gay man to create an outrage that just didn't work. Shout out to Arsenio for not letting that outrage work on him. Shout out to him for attacking it head on, being the ruthless nice guy where people could see it. Because he didn't disrespect him. He could have, but he went about it being ruthless in a very nice guy way. Real talk, y'all. You got to know how to do it, y'all. You got to know how to do it. You got to practice that, man. Got to practice that. Real talk. Got to be ruthless, and you got to remember where you at, where the camera angles is, and all that type of stuff. And you got to even do it in a nice way sometimes. But keep up the good work. That's all I can say. Keep up the good work. That's how you let people know what time it is. Okay, that's how you let people know what time it is. And they were going after a rage situation. Let's just keep that real. You wanted regular viewers to get outraged for some reason. And then let's keep it real. Hollywood, a lot of gay rumors about Hollywood. So you would also try to get people who are quote unquote stars to not come on his show. That's what the game was. We're gonna get stars upset because they had these gay lifestyles, some of them not public with their gay lifestyle, but we gonna get them upset with Arsenio Hall so they won't come to this show. Arsenio Hall beat everybody, okay? He beat the player. They couldn't do nothing with him. And as I was saying, if you're a black man and you really couldn't get on mainstream television and really say too much about what you wanted to say, Arsenio Hall created a place where a black man could actually get on television and get some of that stuff out. Now, yeah, it was a television show, hour-long show. Yeah, you could only say so much. They had to deal with commercials and all that, but you could get on his show and say things that they ain't gonna never let you say on other folks' show. Let's keep that real. All right. So Arsenio Hall was literally changing what mainstream media was. Okay. Shout out to Bradley Spalding. Let's see what he's saying. He said, "Real talk, Roger. I used to go to school tired from staying up watching Arsenio Hall and the Party Machine with Nia Peoples." Laugh out loud. Hey, much respect for you. If you gonna stay up late night when you know you got school in the morning, might as well do it for Arsenio Hall, okay? If you're gonna do it for somebody, do it for Arsenio Hall. Shout out to you, brother. But you graduated though, right? That's what matters. You graduated. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. But you graduated though, right? And man, you made that sacrifice, but you graduated though. So, it's all good. It's all good. And yeah, if you're going to make sacrifices like that, do it for Arsenio. Don't just do it for anybody. Do it for Arsenio. So Arsenio Hall was changing the game. Okay? Changing the game. And I'm going to say, y'all, as black men, we got to give him a certain level of respect because of what he allowed black men to come on his show and do. He allowed them to come on there and be themselves and represent themselves properly. Shout out to Bradley. He said, "Yeah, I graduated." Laugh out loud. See, that's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Arsenio Hall inspired you. For some of us who was in school while Arsenio Hall was on the air as the first black man in late night television, let's keep it real. This is inspirational for people, y'all. See, when you do these first and you do the first well, it can be very inspirational to all the folks that's out there, y'all. It can be very inspirational to all the folks out there. So Arsenio Hall inspired generations of young black men. He showed us something that we could do. Okay? He showed us something that we could do. You work hard, you make good decisions, you can get yourself into a lot of great situations, and Arsenio Hall was able to do that. Real talk, y'all. Real talk. And Arsenio Hall, again, you can go to his show, you can be yourself while truly showing a good representation of what you stand for. So, yeah, did he have some of the greats come to his show? Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Okay? And Arsenio Hall dealt with a lot of the greats. Let's be real about this, y'all. Because, if my memory serves me right, which I believe it does, okay, shout out to Arsenio Hall. All right? I know Arsenio Hall's had some of the living legends over here at the Roger Report Live. I know he had some of them on his show. Okay. Before I even say that, shout out to Bradley Spalding. He said he really did break down doors. MC Hammer, Tupac, Bobby Brown, TLC, other shows couldn't compete. And you know what? Arsenio Hall had I'm gonna say the advantage. See, they didn't want to respect it at the time. Arsenio Hall had the advantage that he wasn't trying to lock away black folk. Okay, I don't know why white America has such a difficult time figuring out that black folks gonna be better than them in a lot of situations. Okay, now I ain't gonna say entertainment ain't white supremacy approved. It is. But the thing is, we still better at that than y'all, from a general context. Okay, from a general context, black folks are just better entertainers than non-black people. Just is what it is. It's not a diss. That's just accepting reality. So Arsenio Hall was given an advantage because other places was trying to lock away the talent, while Arsenio Hall said, "Yeah, y'all come on through. Come on through." Okay. Yeah, we niggas to them, but we know what time it is. We know we better. Well, yeah, they said no to you over there. Well, just come on over here. That's all you got. You ain't got to worry about them. Just come on over here. Man, we doing this 5 nights a week. You want to get off? You want to show the world your talent? Come on over here to our Senior Hall show. We gonna make it happen. Call the producers, get you a day schedule, come do your thing. So he had the advantage of not being racist, which allowed him to get a lot of folks on television that wasn't accepted in other places. And I'm gonna say shout out to Arsenio Hall, because I know he did some interviews with some of our living legends. Okay, I definitely remember Michael Jordan, a living legend over here at the Roger Report Live, being on the Arsenio Hall show. Shout out to him for that. Okay, shout out to him for that. All right. Rufus Nice Guy Eddie Murphy had definitely been on the Arsenio Hall show as well. Shout out to him for that. Shout out to him for that. Man had a lot of great folks who came through. But see, Arsenio Hall didn't have this issue with your skin color, so you can come over here and do your thing. You want to be on Arsenio Hall? Cool, come on. Okay, come on. All right. Now, you got to be a talented person to be able to host a show every single night. Well, 5 nights a week, okay? 5 nights a week. You got to be a talented person, all right? You got to be amongst all these superstars, and you can't fade into the background because you're interviewing folks, you're allowing people to show their talent, and you got to stay the star of the situation yourself. And Arsenio Hall was able to do all that, okay? Arsenio Hall was a great decision maker. You see how he moved about. And come on, y'all, his show became classic, y'all. Okay, his show became classic. Okay, even pumping your fist at the beginning of the show. He used to pump the fist, come on, man. Nobody was doing that before Arsenio. Nobody was doing that. All right. Arsenio Hall made it different. He allowed black people to be actual black people, and he represented himself as a black man boldly, as if somehow folks gonna lose money because he being the right black man. And what did the people attached to Arsenio Hall show do? They went to #1. Do y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? People were scared of him. What did he do? He went to #1. Okay. Shout out to Step Brother Dry Repair. Shout out to you, brother. I appreciate it. But it ain't about me today. He said you got to be a talented guy for YouTube to cancel you and brothers find you again and rebuild. Hey, talent. Hey, appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Real talk. But it ain't about me today, man. This is about Arsenio Hall, one of the greatest to ever do it. Okay? One of the greatest to ever do it. Because truth be told, y'all, we'll probably be dead before somebody can replicate what Arsenio Hall was able to do on his show. Generational talents do come along here and there. Not saying that doesn't happen. Okay, not saying that doesn't happen. But before we get another guy who's able to run a show as well as Arsenio Hall did, and keep in mind, y'all, he didn't just work there. He was a decision maker, y'all. I think he was an executive producer. He might have even used his own production company, if my memory's correct. He wasn't just a guy showing up to work. No. He was the main. He was the main engine for this thing. Okay, and he didn't let you sully up his name, and he didn't let you sully up black folks' name. Okay, if my memory serves me correctly, He had a Klan member come to his show. Had to deal with that. All right. Arsenio Hall didn't run from nobody. He didn't run from nobody. And if you wanted to be taken seriously amongst Black America during that time, you go to Arsenio Hall's show. See, and let's keep it real, y'all. Black folks give people a stamp of approval, then other folks start accepting them. We have that type of power. Okay? Why we have that type of power? Hey, you can make any guess you want to. You can make any estimation you want to. But a lot of people, once we sign off on them, even white folks will sign off on them. That's just the way the game goes. Okay? It's a lot of folks who done made great careers because Black folks said they had talent. You know, somebody do something to get them somewhere as an actor, you know, music artist, whatever the case they doing. And once Black people like them, now other folks can like them. We make it cool to be liked. You know, we make it cool to be liked. All right. And you know, it's a good thing at the end of the day. Okay, it's a good thing at the end of the day. You know, great position to be in. You know, now I'm gonna say late night television needed in Arsenio Hall. Okay, it needed in Arsenio Hall. Truth be told, probably could use Arsenio Hall right now. Probably could use Arsenio Hall right now. Okay, but again, you know, when you do something at a super high level, you know, I mean, generational talents do come on, but I don't personally suspect that in my lifetime that somebody else is going to be able to change the dynamics of late night television the way Arsenio Hall did. I just don't see that happen. Okay. Now, Arsenio Hall was able to become rich, become famous, and still be relatable to the average Black guy. Still be relatable to the average Black woman. Still be relatable to the average white guy. The average white one. Because it ain't like only Black folks was watching Arsenio Hall. No. He had the advantage of not being racist in any kind of way. So he was bringing talent on his shows that the doors weren't really open for them to go other places until they did the Arsenio Hall show. So what was Arsenio Hall doing? He was telling white folks, no, you can put this person on your show. See, it was indirect. So I know a lot of folks didn't get it. Arsenio Hall would bring talented Black people on his show. And that was a marker for white people to say, hey, we need to bring that person to our show. Because Arsenio Hall had them. Okay? Arsenio Hall had them. We need to do something with that. See, you go to Arsenio's show, you can go to other shows. Arsenio Hall, now I'm not saying this was white folks' plan. Because, you know, things happen directly and things happen indirectly. Arsenio Hall was telling white people what to do. They just didn't get it. They ain't figured out. Okay? You know, one of them might hear this particular show. And it'll be the first time they're going to have an epiphany that Arsenio Hall was telling them what to do. You know, Arsenio Hall told them how to make a guest list. Okay? If you really want your stuff to be hot, what you need to do is get, them niggas that was on Arsenio Hall. We need to get some of them niggas to come perform over here. We need to come have some of these niggas come sit on our couch. Okay? We need to have our people talk to these niggas. You know, now you can do all that in a disrespectful way. You know, of course, when you're out the public eye. But at the end of the day, Arsenio Hall was telling you how to run a show. That's what Arsenio was doing. I'm going to get into the late night television game. I'm going to do what y'all was doing, but I'm going to do it better than y'all. And I'm going to have better guests than y'all. Now, that's not to say Arsenio Hall didn't let no white people that on the show, because he did. You know? And matter of fact, especially with the guy the comedian the white guy who attacked Arsenio Hall, the gay guy who attacked him for no apparent reason. You know, Elton John done been on Arsenio Hall show. Now we know Elton John was out there gay. He wasn't had that from nobody. Okay, man was just talented though, so it is what it is. He was gay, but he was talented. Black folks ain't really care about that. You know, we ain't never been against the gay. So it didn't make no sense for whoever was behind that to send Arsenio Hall was sending that white guy to Arsenio Hall show so he can attack them, so he can have a quote unquote problem with gay people. That just wasn't even a smart move. Black folks ain't never had no problem with gay folks. Yeah, we don't promote being gay, but we don't attack nobody because they gay. We ain't never did that as no collective. Now, can you find a person who did something? Sure. But as a collective, black folks ain't never. Man, what we do for gay people, we pray for them. That's what black people do for gay people. We pray for them. Now, other people can do stuff to them. We just gonna pray for them for the most part. That's what we gonna do. Oh, that young man look a little fruity. We gonna pray for him tonight, y'all. We gonna pray. That's what black folks did for gay folks. We pray for them. Shout out to Bad Black Gamer. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you, my brother. He say Arsenio Hall got Clinton elected. Y'all did mention that a little earlier that now I'm not gonna say he got him elected, and shout out to you for the 67 cents. So we what was that? That was the Trail Bentley 57 cent and that extra dime. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Okay, yeah. Arsenio Hall changed the scope of politics. Okay. And I'm gonna say, Bad Black Game, I'm gonna say, yeah, if Bill Clinton don't do Arsenio Hall show, if he does not get black approval, and I'm not talking about just to black people, not saying just to black people, because Arsenio Hall told white people what was cool. He don't do Arsenio Hall show, I think it's a very good chance he don't get elected. And that's real talk. Okay. Now the voters had to come in there and vote themselves, but I definitely believe if Bill Clinton doesn't do Arsenio Hall show, he don't get elected. Now, Bill Clinton was a smooth guy himself and all that. I ain't trying to take nothing away from Bill. I'm just trying to keep it real. That was the power that was going on behind the Arsenio Hall show. Okay. And as I think about it, y'all, was Arsenio Hall not a prototypical? I'm talking about a ruthless, nice guy. The man know how to handle everything in every situation. The man knows how to come off respectful, firm, serious, whatever he needs to be at any given time. And he a comedian. Okay? But Arsenio Hall will give you the business. Okay? Shout out to UFO Kamikaze One. He said, kiss Diana Ross on live TV. Yep, the Diana Ross, y'all. Okay, the Diana Ross. Kiss Diana Ross on live TV. Now, I don't even remember that moment myself, but I know that says a whole lot right there. Cause I mean, Diana Ross was, I mean, that lady was so famous, I don't even know what to do. Okay. Diana Ross gonna forever be loved amongst black folks, especially. Okay, especially amongst us. I ain't saying white folks don't love her, but amongst us, she ain't nothing less than royalty. You know, shout out to Diana Ross. She is nothing less than royalty amongst black folks, especially. Okay, so to be able to kiss Diana Ross on live TV and get away with it, because I don't remember that per se, but hey, that's saying a whole lot of stuff was going in the right direction. Okay, a whole lot of stuff was going in the right direction for him to be able to do that. All right. Now, and I'm gonna say this, y'all. He was the mind behind the show. Okay. He was the mind behind the show. Now look at this, y'all. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. He say, for $1, say Diana Ross, one of the biggest plants ever. Hey, maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. I personally don't know her as that. I just know when it comes to black folks, that lady royalty. It's just that simple. That's what I know about Diana Ross. Too young to see when her career took off. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even born yet, so I ain't see her career take off. I know that lady is royalty to black folks, though. Okay, I know that lady is royalty to black folks. So let's not hate on Diana. Let's just keep it moving, because it's about Arsenio Hall today. Okay. Okay. And shout out to UFO Kamikaze One. He said it definitely happened. Look it up. Hey, no, I don't doubt that it happened. I don't doubt that it happened at all, because we're talking about Arsenio Hall. So I don't doubt that it happened. I understand Diana Ross is royalty when it comes to black folks. But if anybody could have kissed on live television, I believe it was Arsenio Hall. Because if you ask me, y'all, and if we be real about it, I'm going to say, and you can say it was short-lived in comparison to other things, but I'm going to say Arsenio Hall had the greatest late-night talk show ever. And I know that's a lot to say. I do know that's a lot to say, y'all. I get that. I understand people, one of the first things people will go to is longevity. Oh, well, his show wasn't that long when you think about it. You had other shows that's been doing things for decades. And I understand that. And when you compare his show that I think it did about 5 years the first time. I know he brought it back for a hot second, a second time many, many years later. But I'm talking about that first run. I think Arsenio did his thing for, let's see, I think it was about 1989-ish to about 1994-ish, 95. I'll look it up. Good, strong run. Okay. But I believe his impact in that small period of time, even though you got these quote unquote institutional shows like the Tonight Show, which seems like, based on how folks in Hollywood talk, it happens to be the show. Even though it's something like that's been on air for decades, did it really have the impact that Arsenio Hall was able to have in that comparably short period of time? I'm going to say no. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say no. I think Arsenio Hall did way more in a just a short period of time. And to me, I think it's safe to say he literally had the best talk show in television history. But I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to give it to my main man, the one, the only, Black Guru.
Hey, Roger. Thanks for having me. I hope I'm coming in clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not, please let me know.
No, you sound great. You sound great.
The kiss definitely happened with Diana Ross between Arsenio and Diana. And if I recall correctly, it was kind of nice. I remember it being kind of nice. I remember being slightly jealous of Arsenio. I mean, because this was 91, 92. Diana was still choice back then. She was still, yeah. No, I remember, I remember that being a pretty nice moment for Arsenio. I remember him being kind of taken aback by it, if I recall correctly, because Diana's an interesting woman. She's very much beloved, kind of hated in a way, because in a way she was for so long the sort of preeminent black it girl, if you will. She made some choices with some white dudes. First of all, she made some choices with Berry Gordy, which apparently fractured the Supremes, and she made some choices and she allegedly made some choices with Michael, allegedly, because I mean, whatever she put on him, he kind of never really get,
Yeah, she
he
definitely
never
put it
really
on him. That,
really
whatever it
appeared to get
was.
over.
Allegedly.
He never really kind of, yeah, allegedly. It was like allegedly, wink, wink, nod. We all know what happened, kind of thing. But yeah, no, she was especially good. No, but Arsenio, yeah, I mean, Arsenio's a very pivotal cultural figure because I would say no one did more. Uh, somebody's got I guess the YouTube going on in the background. I would say no one did more to popularize hip hop and even broader young black culture of the 80s and in the 90s than Arsenio Hall. I think you can't really point to any figure who did more than he did in that regard. Because prior to Arsenio, I mean, you didn't see net rap on television. You barely saw rap in, it was kind of underground, to for lack of a better word to use, in terms of popular media. You heard it on the radio, some of it on the radio, the more choice, like your Run DMC on the radio. But a lot of it was kind of, considered to be sort of a renegade art form. And he really kind of popularized it. And he popularized not only the music, but he helped to popularize the people and the figures behind the music. You mentioned the Tonight Show, you had the David Letterman show as well. They kind of teased a little bit at black popular media, but not as much, and they really had no real connection to it culturally that Arsenio had, obviously. So if he would have like Easy E, for example, or Mike Tyson, or I think at one point, one show he had Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, and I think Mike Tyson on the same show. It was like an incredible moment. It was like the past, present, and the future of boxing. All like the living symbols of it, all on the same show. He did a lot of particularly unique things with respect to with respect to presenting black culture, black pop culture on television. So he was a unique and important figure in that regard. He does not get as much credit as he should. I think he should be given a lot more credit, not by Hollywood, particularly by Hollywood, particularly by black music, black actors. You were much more likely to see up and coming black actors, for example, on his show, black social, political figures on his show. He did a wonderful job in a relatively short period of time. He did a wonderful job. In fact, I think he did such a wonderful job that then it was easy to get rid of him because he so broke the mold or bursted down the barriers culturally that then all the white producers and talk shows and etc. Oh, okay, well then now we can have Negroes on our shows too, and I think that helped to kind of push him out. That in the Farrakhan interview, I think, was the undoing of his show. But
yeah, I'm gonna say he embarrassed the world of late night television. That's what he did, and that's why I personally believe. And I don't know when it happened. I would have to try to look it up to figure out when it happened. Where the white guy showed up, the gay guy showed up to attack him, like Arsenio did something to gay people. But like I said, y'all, I don't believe in coincidence like that. So I know dude was sent. Now he may never admit to it, but I know dude got sent by somebody. And y'all, I did look it up. It's easy to find. I saw him kissing Diana Ross, and I seen how Diana Ross was still looking at the time. So Black Rule, I can understand why you say you might have been a little jealous during that time, because
No,
she still had it. She
yeah, I
definitely
mean,
still had
boy,
it.
you got to see, you got to understand. I grew up seeing Diana Ross, you know. So when that went down, I was like, "Damn, man, go ahead, Arsenio." You know, in 1991, 92, man, that was decent, man. That was decent.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, man.
absolutely. But we have the Emperor here, so let me go ahead and give the floor to Emperor Dessalines. Oh no, excuse me. Today, Emperor Ruckus. Go ahead, my brother. Go ahead. Do your thing. You got it.
Happy Wednesday, Roger.
Happy Wednesday, brother.
Happy Wednesday, Black Oval. And happy
Indeed.
Wednesday
Happy
to
Christmas Eve, I guess. Yeah.
yeah. Happy Wednesday to the chat. So I see Negroes are very happy today, huh? Y'all woke up in a good mood, huh? Out here talking about them jungle people. As always, huh? Since y'all got a couple of well-known, you know, you got a couple of them basketball players. What's the name of that one? The one that they let become a billionaire. You know, he used to play in Chicago. He used to be tall also. What's his name again? I forget. He played with Scottie Pippen. Remember, I keep forgetting his name, but
it might have been that Michael Jordan guy. That might be who you're referring to.
you said it. I didn't. You know what I mean? I did not mention his name. You said it.
Well, he definitely was on our City Hall show. That's for sure.
And they let you get a couple good shots. You know, they let y'all let our Senior Hall slide through, and all of a sudden y'all forgot that Bill Maher is the greatest ever. Y'all want to talk about Bill Maher no more?
Well, I'm gonna say somebody's light shined a little bit brighter than Bill Maher's. Shout out to Bill Maher though. He done did well. He's done well. He just ain't no Arsenio Hall. Just keep it real. You know.
So in front of them white folks, y'all gonna have LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Arsenio Hall, and nobody's gonna talk about Larry Bird. Nobody's talking about what's his name, Tom Brady. Nobody talking about them, huh? They only talk about y'all Negroes, them jungle people.
You know what? When you throw those names out here, I have to say, I'm not sure that they were good enough to get on our Arsenio Hall show at the time. I'm gonna see if Tom Brady ever, I'm gonna see if there's a clip of Tom Brady ever making it to the Arsenio Hall show. I don't know if he was that good at the time. He may not have made it, because keep in mind,
Tom
you
Brady
top of
might
the
have been in his senior year in high school when Arsenio's show went off air, man.
Yeah, it show went off like 94,
in the mid
94, 95,
Brady wasn't even in the NFL until 2000 or what?
Yeah, he might have made it to the show. He might have made it, because Arsenio dealt with the Grays. He might have made it, but yeah, that's before his time. Because now you say that, Black, well, yeah, his show went off air about 94ish, 95ish, But again,
well, no, there were lots of popular white performers that appeared on his show. In fact, ironically, in the clip that you presented, all of the guests of that particular show were white.
Yep.
All of the George Wendt, white, the Gatlin brothers, white, who was the other guy, comedian or whatever, white. All white, ironically. Arsenio had a lot of very popular Kenny G and what's the guy, Michael Bolton. They were all on the show.
Yeah.
He was very popular with the white.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he just didn't define who cool black people was. Arsenio Hall defined who cool white people were.
yeah, of
Which may
course,
be why
of course.
they kind of
And cool Latino guy. You probably had George Lopez. I'm sure probably appeared on that show at some point. Yeah, I mean Arsenio was very democratic in terms of. I mean, if you had a good thing going and you were entertaining and affable and lively, you had a good chance of appearing on that show. He was very well. I mean, you had that damn Bill Clinton playing the saxophone on the show, which has
basically got
historically
him
kind of
elected.
turned into viewed in a different context today than it might have when that happened. Um, but no, he was very popular with the whites.
Yeah,
Very popular
yeah.
with the whites.
And I'm gonna say, let's not get it twisted. White people, I mean, they was doing their thing in their areas. But if you wanted to really be popular, you needed the blacks to sign off on you. And where did you get the blacks to sign off on you? You go to Arsenio Hall show. So Arsenio Hall show was actually giving white folks a level of credibility that they couldn't get elsewhere. Once
That's
black
true.
people say we good, we good with this white person, that take their popularity
You
to a
had
different level.
you had a Vanilla Ice sighting on the Arsenio Hall show.
Yeah. Arsenio
Again,
became a powerful man.
infamous. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you had a lot of white performers that appeared on his show. He was very and Arsenio was very, even though he was very popular in his own right as a personality, he was also very good at celebrating whoever or whatever you were. He's one of the greatest hype men really ever that have ever appeared on TV. Nobody hyped you up the way Arsenio Hall did. Nobody did.
Yeah. I think Arsenio Hall got a little too powerful for folks' comfort, because once he gave a stamp on you, he gave you a stamp that white folks couldn't give you. And that's just really what it was at the end of the
That's
day.
why they got him off of there. That's why they got him off of there. He was becoming too powerful for their comfort level. That's why they got him off of there.
Yep. And shout out to Red Pill Sleeper Cell. He said Mr. Rogers was cool. Arsenio gave him a custom leather jacket. Y'all, and you can see the clip on YouTube if you want. You know what I'm saying? Now, y'all think about this back in that time, for a black man hosting a show that became the #1 show, and you give somebody like Mr. Rogers a leather jacket, a custom leather jacket. See, Arsenio Hall was giving folks this stamp that white folks just didn't have the power to give them. I'm not saying white folks didn't have their control of entertainment and all that type of stuff, but nobody was Arsenio Hall. And if you really want to make some money among some folks, even when you was white, you want black people to say you're talented. That's always been the case. And probably always gonna be the case. You white people want black folks to say they're talented. And this was a way for you to say, black people say I'm talented. I got to go to Arsenio Hall show. It just is what it is. Now you had to get in there amongst all the different black people that was going on the show. I ain't mad at the white folks for going on the show. Okay, I ain't mad at them. It was a smart move to make. But Arsenio would also do things where, people he wanted to come on his show would come on, such as a Mr. Rogers. Because let's keep it real. Black folks who grew up in this country, we did have some respect for Mr. Rogers. A lot of us had a lot of respect for Mr. Rogers. He was doing something as an older guy. He doing children's television. We had respect for the man at the end of the day. You grew up, you approve Mr. Rogers. See, but Arsenio can go and give you that approval to let white people know this one of the white people we
also,
like.
Mr. Rogers was reputed to be a pretty decent guy. He had a black guy who regularly, I think he was the engineer or something like that, who regularly appeared on that show. He had a
Absolutely.
pretty good reputation as a pretty decent white man, so to speak. So and I think he also and again, you have to be a certain age. Um, I think he also was making up for what Eddie Murphy had done in that whole Mr. Robinson thing that was done on Saturday Night Live. Again, you gotta be a certain age to kind of feel what was going on back then with that. And there was some, it was like apparently Mr. Rogers didn't care too much. And with him and with Eddie and Arsenio, at least at the time, supposedly being best friends. I always thought that part of what that was about was to kind of try to make up for what happened with that Mr. Robinson thing. I think that there was a connection there.
Now I'm gonna say shout out to all my hoes the amount of time. He said the Raj Report Live sucks, just like Arsenio sucked. Merry Christmas, everyone. And I'm gonna say, man, if I can suck like Arsenio suck, I'm on the right track. Real talk.
Exactly.
I'll take that. I definitely take that. Appreciate you, my good brother. Appreciate you, good. And for all y'all who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas, because y'all do know Roger Report Live, the 6 national holidays, I will not be appearing, y'all. I will not be appearing. So yeah, don't look for me on Christmas. Look for me day after Christmas. I'll be back. It's tempting to take the Friday off too, but I'll be back, y'all. I will be back, and we got a hot one for you on Friday. That's for sure. Shout out to Compassion Callis who came up with what we gonna do on Friday. So we got a hot one for you on Friday. Real talk. Yeah, and maybe that did have a little something to do with it. Maybe that's why Arsenio gave him the jacket. But that Mr. Robinson was classic and still classic to this day. So, it might have something little something to do with that. That makes some sense. And I'm gonna say shout out to Mr. Rogers because he was doing some groundbreaking stuff, and he had it's a clip that's I'm gonna say somewhat famous where he had the black guy on his show and blacks wasn't really on TV like that, and then they put their feet in like a pool of water when that was just something to not do back in the day. So Mr. Rogers played his part. You know what I'm saying? He made his part, which I believe helped with why so many black people respected him. Now, I didn't respect him for that reason. I just respect him because it was a kid's show. I used to watch here and there sometime as I was growing up. And Mr. Rogers didn't do nothing bad to nobody. So, I had to respect it at the end of the day. So, to go full circle and then Arsenio Hall give you that approval. And I know some people didn't get it, but white folks look for black approval. And Arsenio Hall show at the time was one of the best ways for white people to get black approval. That's just what it was at the end of the day. So Arsenio Hall was definitely a person where you can go there and quote unquote be made a star because you were up and coming. And Arsenio Hall would still let you have a platform even if your name wasn't the greatest name. And again, when it comes to the social political stuff, if you really wanted to say something on television, you probably need to go to Arsenio Hall show. Because let's keep it real. You go to the mainstream television shows, you weren't really allowed to talk like that. Probably one of the most, well, for a lot of Americans, maybe one of the most infamous interviews was Arsenio Hall having Minister Louis Farrakhan come to his show, but be able to actually talk, to be able to give his viewpoints out without getting interrupted, without any type of antagonistic type of interview. No, he was able to just speak his piece and say his word. And I know I was kind of young at the time, but I do believe once he went to Arsenio Hall's show, the rest of America had to put a little bit more respect on his name. That's what I believe happened. What do you think about that, Black, who as a person a little bit older? Do you think America had to put a little bit more respect on his name once he went there?
I don't a little more respect on his name. I don't know if I view it that way. I think Farrakhan was always considered to be a powerful figure, a feared figure, certainly by some a hated figure. I think when he appeared on the show, Arsenio kind of humanized him to some people in a way that that before people outside of black folks could just see him as an evil figure that people would do sound bites on or clip comments here or there, and just he's the black Hitler. I mean, that's kind of how he was viewed by a lot of particularly white people. It was easy for them to do because they control all the media, so they could just soundbite and clip him into being the devil. What Arsenio did was, by featuring him and allow him to speak and present, much more of who and what he was, it humanized Farrakhan and humanized his message in a way that pissed off a lot of those people, particularly those who like to wear those little beanie hats. Because now you can't just automatically view or cite him as being a demon, because now you're hearing what he's saying in the context. Now you're hearing what he have to say in the context of him being a man, him being a black man, history, whatever. Now, Arsenio, you would have Farrakhan appear on, let's say, maybe like a Donahue show, but it was much more adversarial. It was these people yelling and whatever, and then Farrakhan would go back and forth, and it would be still kind of hostile. On Arsenio, he was this intelligent, affable, charismatic black man with a very cogent message for black people and whatever, and they hated that. They hated that. And that's why that was sort of the downfall of his show. I mean, they had been wanting to get rid of him prior to that point, but that was their perfect justification for doing so after that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say, to me, there was definitely a clear hatred of what Arsenio Hall was doing, because, again, late night television is a space ruled by white men, and mainstream media 100% controlled by white men.
Television is ruled by white men. Television media is controlled by white men. Let's be real.
Absolutely.
All of it is,
Yeah, absolutely. So when Arsenio come in there and he goes straight for the top, you gonna have people feeling some kind of way, and there's people in the industry who feel some type of way. And and I'm not gonna accuse nobody of nothing, but I'm just gonna say, if you happen to be a late night talk show host at the time when Arsenio Hall was on air, and Arsenio Hall coming there kicking butt the way he do, if you got a little pull with the people who control stuff, you probably gonna say something. Cause who want to come in second place to that nigga, and niggas didn't even have no late night show.
One more thing on the Farrakhan thing, and this says a lot about Arsenio, because I saw an interview that he did about that, obviously years after. I think it was fairly recent. And he said that he knew, he could tell his days were numbered. So he made a point of putting Farrakhan on the show before they could get rid of him. Now that says a hell of a lot about Arsenio Hall. That's a man right there. That's something a man does. That's something a black man does. The fact that he knew they were going to get rid of him, and he made a point. He made a message before they got rid of him. I don't think enough is enough is not said about the quality of man that he is by doing that. Because he could have played to them, went along with their bullshit, capitulated, etc., or whatever. He didn't do that. He refused to do that.
And y'all got to understand the pressure. You got, try to put yourself in his shoes for a moment. When you know they out to get you, meaning they out to cancel your show, it's a couple different ways you can go with that. Now, you could try to do everything you can to get on quote unquote master side and make sure they change their mind because you're willing to do any and everything they want you to do. Or there's a certain expression you can dummy out. You just don't care. Okay? Are we getting canceled? Hey, somebody get Farrakhan on the phone. That's what we gonna do. That's what we gonna do. Now, you gotta understand, these situations can create a potential loss of millions of dollars and all kinds of opportunities for a person. But if you're gonna stick to your guns and you really quote unquote bout that life, you're gonna do what needs to be done.
How often have you seen and heard from Arsenio since? That's not a coincidence. He's been on quote white man punishment since. This has been 30 years. Now, yeah, he did make a brief comeback. I guess it was about 15 or so years ago or whatever, But notice how after he left that show, you didn't see or hear much from Arsenio. As popular a figure he was, as well as that show had done, as many people as it had featured. And again, you have to be a certain age because you are under, really 50 to be quite honest, no offense. You don't really necessarily have a full sense of what was going on. But I can assure you, like I said, if you're past 50 years old, ask yourself, how much did you see or hear for Arsenio for what, about 20 years, I guess, after he left that show? You didn't see or hear from him much after that. And that was not an accident, and that was not because of anything. It was not because of him.
Yeah, they definitely tried to dim his light. That's for sure. And they ain't have nothing for him. There was no opportunities for him at the end of the day. And they made sure of that. And y'all know how the game goes. A lot of them folks know each other. You make a phone call here, a phone call there, and everybody just kind of fall in line, because it ain't even worth battling the other white folks because you want this quote unquote nigga to appear somewhere. They just let it go, So I'm saying, a real talk, you got to appreciate the kind of man that Arsenio was, because he literally was I'm talking about a great representation of a ruthless, nice guy. He didn't get in any trouble. He didn't quote unquote cause a scene the way they wanted him to. And he still was doing everything he believed needed to be done to further black folks.
He was smashing Paula Abdul in the 80s, man. I mean, in the 80s. Let me tell you, bro.
I ain't know about that.
Paula Abdul, man. He was smashing Laker girl, Paula Abdul, man.
I mean, shout out to Arsenio. I thought
that alone will get you in the Hall of Fame, man.
Yes. Hey, I know you was out there like that. Arsenio, do your thing, my brother.
Yeah, he was out there like that.
I know he was doing something. I know he had to be doing something.
Yeah, he was smashing peak Paula Abdul. Peak.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was one of my first little crushes, Paula Abdul. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He sure was. I remember when they got out, we were all looking at each other like, damn, Arsenio got
You see? And that's why white folks should have never given y'all YouTube. Look at y'all now. Listen to y'all now.
They never did.
They should have never given y'all Ashy Blocks YouTube.
Too late now.
They never should have.
That's all I can say. Too late now. Hey, man.
Yeah,
We are acknowledging his
Pete
greatness.
Paul Abdul. Pete.
Yeah,
Pete. Yeah.
yeah. If you're gonna acknowledge a man greatness, you can throw Paul Abdul in there. That's for sure. Okay. I'm proud of you, Arsenio. That's what I'm saying. I'm proud of you, brother. So he did all those great things and that. Okay, way to go, Arsenio. Way to go, Arsenio. I wonder who his son mother is. Okay. Okay. Shout out to Floyd Times. He say Brooke Shields was his buddy too. Okay. What kind of buddy though? What kind of buddy? All right, hey, shout out to that man. I mean, of course, Arsenio Hall was a megastar himself, so it makes sense that he would be around some women who are also some megastars at that time. So I ain't gonna say I ain't gonna say it's the most amazing. I just wasn't aware. That's all I'm gonna say. I just wasn't aware. But shout out to that brother for doing what he's doing with what he had to do it with. Real talk. But as I was saying, Arsenio Hall was making great progress for Black people through his show. And stereotypical issues that go on where they say, well, they Black, they're not gonna be able to really keep attention. We'll do a segment of the show, people might turn away. See, Arsenio Hall was breaking down all those different barriers too. It's things that we don't really think about that y'all get discussed on a regular basis, especially when it comes to Black folks and the attention of white people. White people have always tried to present that that Black people can't hold white people's attention enough for rating purposes. And ratings was a big deal because that turned into dollars, ad revenue. A lot of that affects what your ratings are at the time. So if your thing is we can't keep white people's attention enough, so they'll see a commercial and spend money, it's just not a good investment to make. And Arsenio Hall was killing that stuff. He was really killing those rooms because now you got a talk show with a Black host, with a bunch of Black folks coming on the talk show. Not saying the white people wasn't allowed to come, because they were allowed to come. They were allowed to come. But the thing is, what kind of white people could come? And for the most part, Arsenio Hall was stamping people's approval. Now he was a stamp of approval for white folks. So if you was doing something, you was loud and strong with what you was doing, if you was a great, yeah, you could come to Arsenio's show. Now he did deal with people who came for political reasons and things like that. That stuff was happening too. But if you were a talented person, if you was really that good, you could come on Arsenio Hall show. So I'm gonna say shout out to him again for Elton John. You see, Elton John was white and gay, and what? I forget where Elton from. Was it Britain or something? He wasn't even American. See, Arsenio Hall didn't shun people away like that. If you had it, you had it, and he'll let you do your thing. And he let you do your thing where the Black greats will come do their thing. So yes, he was introducing some people who would be considered popular to white people. He was introducing those folks to Black people, because we didn't really pay attention to you like that until you came on his show. And if you come out well on Arsenio's show, then we'll go see your movie when it come out. You come off well with Arsenio's show, we might listen to your music when it come out. The man was really a game changer for folks. And yes, he was getting extremely powerful, which is why, because I definitely heard all these rumors that was swirling around when Arsenio Hall was on the air. But, me being a much younger person, I just heard rumors about the stuff, never really looked into the stuff. But I do remember a lot of rumors about, people were being made to be uncomfortable, and Arsenio Hall show needs to come off the air. And I remember saying stuff like, ain't he the top rated guy? And they was like, and people would tell me, no, they want Arsenio Hall off the show. Now, I don't know enough at the time, but I'm just saying, ain't he the top rated guy? The top rated guy, he got the ratings. They make the money off the ad revenue. Ain't that what they want? Don't you want a guy like him to be on television so y'all can get that ad revenue? But y'all, there's things that go on in the background, as we know today. nefarious things can go on in the background that ain't got nothing to do with money sometimes, depending upon how you view it, or has everything to do with money, but it's going to be about future money, depending upon how you view these things. So Arsenio Hall was becoming the greatest talk show host ever, while simultaneously being plotted against for having a talk show. That's the crazy America that we move around in, which is why, as black men, you got to learn to become a ruthless, nice guy. Everyone should understand you're a nice guy. Everyone should respect how you move. But when you got to make stuff happen, you got to just make stuff happen. And sometimes you got to be absolutely ruthless when you making things happen. So, Black Guru even saying that, that's one of the reasons that Farrakhan got on the show, that Arsenio understood that he was going to be canceled. Oh, if y'all going to cancel me, then this is what I'm going to do with that. I'm calling them up. We're going to get this book right away. Because, y'all, these people don't play with us. We not required to play with them. Okay? We not required. Do your thing the way you want to do your thing. Okay? And make people adjust how powerful you are. And I'm going to say shout out to Arsenio Hall. This was a black man who literally made white America adjust to how powerful he was. I do remember that, y'all. I definitely remember that while he was on the air. I remember Arsenio Hall being so powerful that white people had to adjust to him. And I'm going to say, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. You got to understand who you are. You got to understand what your power is. We all have a certain level of personal power. Arsenio Hall was up at the time, and he used his personal power to push exactly what he wanted to push. And I'm going to say, you say whatever you want. The man changed mainstream America. There's no way in the world you can convince me at this point that mainstream America was not different. When you look at pre-Arsenio Hall show, during Arsenio Hall show, and post-Arsenio Hall show, America different. So I got to see a black guy change America. I'm going to say that was nice for me. Okay. As a younger person, in comparison to like the things that happened in the civil rights era, we didn't get to see that stuff firsthand. We could see some of the stuff in old video clips and things like that. We didn't get to see some of that stuff firsthand. What I do appreciate and remember seeing firsthand was Arsenio Hall, from an unlikely position as being a talk show host. I saw white America bend to him as a black man, and he was doing it from a talk show. No, he wasn't marching in the streets, but I was at least wise enough to kind of understand some of the stuff that was going on. And again, see, my family, they having conversations with us, and they tell us about how they want to cancel Arsenio Hall. And I didn't necessarily get every single thing at that time, because I'm trying to figure out, why would you want to cancel this guy? And he like the number one guy. That guy was too powerful for them. And that's just real talk. And shout out to Floyd Thompson. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. He says, hashtag Arsenio will get you a black card tax. Happy holidays. And you know what? I can agree with that, Floyd. I can agree with that. Arsenio made it where you could make some money with some black folk. He did that. So looking back on what he did in hindsight, and shout out to the 57-cent trail penalty tax that you put on there, Floyd, as well. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Looking back at what he was able to become, I'm pretty sure other people didn't, quote unquote, see it as like a civil rights movement type of thing. But when I think about what Arsenio Hall was able to do with the fame that he collected, the position he was able to get by having his show, and the moves he made while he had his show, this man literally changed the face of mainstream America. Is anybody going to ever really say that out loud? Probably not for a while. Because I'm probably the first person. Well, I ain't never heard nobody else say it before. Will somebody say it after me? I don't know. But America was different because of his talk show. And that's why, one of the reasons I'm going to say, even though you have other shows that were institutional, I do believe in that small period of time, Arsenio Hall literally had the greatest talk show in American history. And because of the impact he's had, I don't know if you're going to be able to have a talk show as powerful as him in our lifetime. Now, maybe something happens that I don't even know about. I can't even fathom right now being in 2025. But I don't think I'm alive long enough. And I plan to stay alive for a long time. But I don't think I'll be alive long enough to see somebody impact the American way of doing things the way Arsenio did with a talk show, the way he did it. I don't think that's happening. And that's real talk, y'all. I just don't think that's happening. You know, a lot of black folks owe Arsenio Hall some respect because indirectly, he affected a lot of other black folks too. You know, could we be taking as seriously that we're taking right now? I mean, even someone like myself doing a show on the internet, okay? Shout out to Emperor Ruck saying they should have never gave us YouTube. Well, even someone doing a YouTube show like this, could we be taken as serious if Arsenio Hall didn't have his show first? I think Arsenio Hall bought black folks a lot of credibility that we just didn't really have at the time. I'm not saying black folks didn't get nothing, but y'all think about it. What was black talk shows like before Arsenio Hall? Okay. Again, you had a lot of things that was going on. It's white supremacy approved. They try to give you comfortable stuff to a certain degree. Even the controversial, quote unquote, the controversial stuff, you know, like somebody like an Oprah, you know what I'm saying, who, you know, Oprah leaves a lot of questions to her. Any allegiance to black people at all, she leaves a lot of questions. But even when she had controversial stuff, did she really do it the way it could have been done? Did she really let the people speak so they can get out what they want to get out? Or did she just kind of play into a cutting board that she was already used to? See, Arsenio Hall didn't do that. He let people come on there and be themselves. You never saw Arsenio Hall trying to control what the guest was going to say. No matter how wild or crazy it was, Arsenio Hall just asked a question. They say what they say. And he didn't do nothing to try to change the narrative. I don't ever remember Arsenio Hall trying to get someone to change their narrative on any subject, regardless of whether he respected it, agreed with it, or what. He never tried to get somebody to change their narrative about something. You know, now I ain't saying he asked you a question or will you agree to this or will you agree to that? Yeah, that happens with talk shows. But I never saw Arsenio Hall try to get somebody to be something other than what they were. You know, which is why I believe, you know, folks did, quote unquote, attack him. You know, and y'all just keep remember, just had y'all ever seen a gay white man attack a talk show host like they did Arsenio Hall? Did you ever see that happen to anybody else? Now, if it did, I ain't saying don't say it, but I don't remember it. And ain't nobody told me about it either. So I don't remember something like that happening on Donahue. You know, somebody just shouts something at you and you ain't said nothing against them in any kind of way whatsoever. I'm not saying there ain't been people on shows that attack folks for positions they've taken. That has clearly happened. You've had guests attack hosts for positions they've taken. What I've never seen is somebody attack a host for a position they didn't take. Just out the blue. Like nothing was going on. I seen that happen to Arsenio Hall and Arsenio Hall only. You know, and I do believe that was a plan to get him to say something where people can, quote unquote, justify pulling him off air immediately. I just ain't seen that happen to nobody else. And I'm not hoping it's going to happen to anybody else. But, I mean, when I think of something like that, that lets me know just how powerful that man was. They would do anything to get him off the air. Oh, if you was going to say something, go ahead.
Nah, they were hoping to put a Roger Report live on Arsenio Hall, huh?
Well, I mean, worse than that. You know, I think they wanted to blackball him for a reason that the public would accept. I think that's what it was. You know, because let's keep it real. They basically blackballed him after the Arsenio Hall show that Black Hole was alluding to earlier. They basically just blackballed him after he came off air. But I think they wanted America to blackball him, not just Hollywood. You know, if you can get America to agree with the sentiment, then you know you could just kind of make that person go away, and then nobody cares that they had to go away. You know, no one's gonna empathize with him for going away if you can make him go away with some level of outrage by the masses. Now, of course, you're not gonna be able to get everyone to agree, but I do believe that they was trying to set him up to get him in an outrage moment where the masses of people are just gonna be like, I'm glad he's gone. Ain't gonna be no whatever happened to Arsenio Hall. Now, we actually did do that. Okay, I know us as Black folks was doing it. You know, when his show went off the air, people was like, you know, well, what happened to Arsenio Hall? I wonder what Arsenio Hall is doing right now. You know, it's been some years. You know, what's up with Arsenio Hall? Of course, we did that, but I don't think that's what they want. I think they wanted a raging situation where everybody in America pretty much was just say, screw Arsenio Hall, and I hope I never see him again. You know, just didn't kind of go that way. And I got to give that man credit because nobody has to do the stuff that Arsenio Hall did. You know, so is it like fighting the civil rights movement going through that time period? No, not saying it was like that at all. What I am saying though is Arsenio Hall used his personal power to help further his people, undoubtedly. And while he was doing that, he was changing the American mainstream landscape. So indirectly, he affected every Black mainstream artist of any kind once he did his show. So if you was a musician, he affected you. If you was an actor, he affected you. If you were a teacher, he affected you. He got Black people another level of respect that we just were not seeing pre his show. That's what I'm saying. Arsenio Hall was the type of guy, you know, people was patterning things after. And if you wanted to be a late night talk show and do it well, what did you now have to do? You had to study his show. He changed the industry. How do you put on a good talk show and you don't look at what Arsenio Hall did? I mean, let's be realistic about that. You know, and you know, shout out to all the white people who was acting funny with Black folks because y'all gave Arsenio Hall an advantage that y'all never saw coming. Is y'all quote unquote boycotting people or never giving people an opportunity that helped make Arsenio Hall so great because he ain't had no problem with it. Y'all, that's how you turn the negative into a positive. That man literally took the rejects of other people's shows and turned into the #1 show. That's power, y'all. And again, nobody had to sugarcoat who they was. The artists could come on there and they could say what they wanted to say. Even if they talked something against the quote unquote industry at the time, Arsenio Hall didn't stop them. He might ask them a question or two, but he let them say what they want to say. So I'm gonna say the man probably had the realest talk show on air too, because Arsenio Hall, you know, allowed people to do their thing, and you know, shout out to the moment Black Rule was talking about earlier. I mean, bringing together the boxers the way he did, you know, because that's where I saw Mike Tyson giving props to Muhammad Ali. Probably the first time that I saw Tyson doing that was probably that clip where, and I think it was Sugar Ray with him there, you know. And Mike Tyson was like, no, it's Ali. Ali said I give it to Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson said I give it to Ali. He the greatest. Okay, I'm just trying to be like that man at the end of the day. You know, you got to have a special place in people's hearts for all these type of things to come together. And because white America wasn't allowing these things, and Arsenio Hall would, he had a greater impact than all these white people shows. It just is what it is. America changed after his show. I mean, no disrespect to somebody like a Johnny Carson who, you know, done passed away at this particular point. But the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson did not do what the Arsenio Hall show did. Just didn't. And I know he was the host for decades. Shout out to David Letterman, who been hosting for decades. His show ain't had an impact the Arsenio Hall show did. Now, I'm not taking nothing away from them. I'm not saying they weren't great comedians. I'm not saying they didn't do a good job or anything like that. What I am saying is, if you look at impact in America, can you trace David Letterman or even the late, great Johnny Carson? Can you trace the impact of their shows the way you can trace the impact of Arsenio Hall show? I don't think you can. I'm pretty sure they had some great moment over time. And maybe I'm just still not aware of whatever great moments they had over time. I'm sure they had to do something groundbreaking because they hosted them shows for so long, but they just ain't had an impact that Arsenio Hall did. And Arsenio Hall did it in a much shorter period of time, in a much more adversarial climate. Now, how you gonna be a better talk show host than Arsenio Hall? It's like it's kind of like it, but I think Arsenio Hall is just far more beyond. I'm gonna say it's like that when people argue about Jordan and LeBron. LeBron, what are you on his 22nd year? Still trying to chase that GOAT status. Mike officially is 15 years because he did come back and play with the Wizards, so his official thing is 15 years. It's like the 6 and 15 versus the 4 and 22. Except when it comes to Arsenio Hall and any other talk show host, that gap is way wider. It's way wider than the Jordan and LeBron debate. I don't think anybody else is even in the building that Arsenio Hall is in. When you think about, greatness, what you was able to do, the impact, and what you was able to do as a talk show host, I don't think anybody's in the room with Arsenio Hall. Okay. Now, I ain't the biggest Oprah fan, as anybody who's watched my channels for a while, you clearly know I ain't the biggest Oprah fan at all. And I know Oprah gets a lot of props for whatever for the stuff that she was able to accomplish in her time. But I'm gonna say, even including the great Oprah, she ain't even in the same building as Arsenio Hall. People say, folks ain't on the same floor.
Okay, now you're kind of going at me. I think there's nobody who for more or worse than better has influenced American culture the last 30 some odd years than Oprah Winfrey. All due respect, Roger.
I know
it's
Oprah
hard to
did
really.
a thing.
All due respect to Arsenio and what he did, but politically, socially, politically, there's a pre-Oprah world and there's a post-Oprah world. And we talking beyond. You guys, it's a very different. All the stuff we talk about daily. Oprah's all over that shit. Oprah's all over it.
Hey,
so I think you kind of overstepped.
I really back
Look,
in a little bit.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I don't celebrate what Oprah did, but it's hard to even really talk about American culture without talking about Oprah Winfrey the last 40 years. Really.
Oprah was a great tool for some of the stuff that went on, but I'm a reel it in just so Oprah can't get no props. I'm a reel it in just so Oprah can't get no props. But yeah, she wasn't no Arsenio. That's all. I'm just leave it at that. Okay.
No, I'm not. You're comparing them from a quality standpoint. I'm saying that with all due respect, like socially and economically, Arsenio is not in the same class as Oprah. Oprah has influenced the whole world, and not necessarily in a positive way, but she was the first one who endorsed Barack Obama. She was the very first person who she legitimized his candidacy for president when she endorsed him. She had never before politically endorsed anybody. And that was really kind of the start of his ascent to the presidency, his endorsement from Oprah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not, with all due respect to Arsenio, I mean, culturally, I agree. But again, if you look at the work, because I've been an adult the whole time that Oprah hit the scene. I mean, I've been an adult the whole time, so I've seen this whole thing evolve from a mature perspective. It's a pre-Oprah world and this a post-Oprah world. That's just the way it is, man. Whether we like it or not, that's just the way it is.
I can agree with you, and like I said, I'm gonna reel it in because I don't even want to give Oprah no props. I'm gonna reel it in just a bit, but I am gonna say she couldn't do what she did to Obama until Arsenio did what he did with Bill Clinton. Boom. That's what I'm gonna say to that. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it.
I mean, okay, I mean, if you see it that way, that's fine. But Oprah got a black man elected president. I mean, for all of what Bill Clinton was, he still was a white man.
I mean, true.
Oprah got a black man. She authenticated a black man and helped to make him president.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll leave it as a quality standpoint then, okay, rather than a quantity standpoint between them two. I'll leave it at that, okay? Quality. I see your whole
we agree qualitatively. We definitely agree qualitatively. But I'm just saying, I mean, Oprah was throwing out free cars and all kinds of shit. She put this guy on, that guy on, Dr. Phil. I mean, it's just the whole landscape, like I say, socially, is very different because of Oprah Winfrey, and not in a good way. She popularized the DL thing. Now all black guys have to be secretly gay because of Oprah.
Well,
she did so much foul stuff, man.
I'm gonna say Oprah had a whole machine behind her, though. Arsenio was basically one guy working with his team. Oprah had the white American hate machine of black men working with her. So I'm gonna look at it a little different regardless. I ain't saying you wrong, but I'm gonna look at it different because what Oprah had helping her push those narratives. Arsenio had him and his team.
I mean, you're looking at it. You're looking at it qualitatively. I'm saying, like, to me, for example, the most impactful figure in the 20th century was Adolf Hitler. Now, am I happy that Adolf Hitler was the most impactful figure of the 20th century? Hell no. But when I look at the whole century, of course Adolf Hitler was the most impactful figure of the 20th century because of everything that happened during and after what he did. There were scientific discoveries. There were athletic, the whole thing with Jesse Owens. So many things impacted by what he did. And like when I look at Oprah, when I judge the effect of Oprah, I don't judge whether or not I agree with what she did or whatever. I look at the fact that somebody can appear on her show with a book and then it sells like 10 million copies. That's kind of how I look at it. I look at Oprah have a guy on, say, most of the black men on the down low giving black women AIDS, and motherfuckers are still saying this shit today, like 30 years later. That's how. So when I say impact, I view it from that perspective, not whether or not I agree with it or like it or appreciate it. I'm saying every day this woman went on TV at 9:00 Central Time and got to basically kind of captivate the whole damn country with some bullshit and had everybody going along with it. And it even reverberates today. Even like we were talking about the Color Purple thing. She was financing that Color Purple plays and all that shit for like 30 years after the thing originally premiered in 86 or whatever.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is shout out to Oprah and the white supremacy machine versus Arsenio Hall and his little team. Okay, so even comparatively, she gonna look like LeBron to me.
There were a lot of people trying to do what Oprah did. Look, I'm not going. I hear what you're saying, but I'm not going to take away from Oprah because a lot of people tried to do what Oprah did. White women tried to do what they did. White men tried to do what they did. Even more than a small number of black women tried to do what Oprah did. None of them could make it work because they weren't Oprah Winfrey. I mean, yeah, she had a machine behind her, but that's kind of like Nike was behind Jordan. Well, yeah, Nike was behind Jordan. The motherfucker was Jordan. You know, you couldn't have turned anybody else into Jordan, you know. And I don't think you could have turned it, with all due respect, I don't think you could have turned anybody else into Oprah. I think she was a singular force unto herself. Right place, right time in Chicago, just like Jordan. Right place, right time in Chicago. And it just became a big thing unto itself. Like it or not.
Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I'm gonna let Oprah go because I ain't trying to give her no shine. It's about Arsenio today. It's about Arsenio. So yeah, I said I'm gonna reel it in because I don't even want her to get no shine. That's real talk. Because she'll never be an Arsenio to me, and that's just the way it is. Shout out to the Great Black Reset. He said I tried to just enjoy the show, but Roger messed it up. Say it loud. LeBron James is the greatest small forward, but he's really just a Pippen who's had to be the star of the team. That's all.
He's not even the greatest small forward. He's not even the greatest small forward.
Yeah.
Larry Bird, Dr. J, I can think of at least 3 small forwards. Shit, John Havlicek, don't get me started. But
LeBron James is Scottie Pippen without a Jordan. That's what LeBron James is. He's Scottie Pippen without a Jordan. Okay. Yeah, I know that mess with y'all, but I'm just keeping it real, man.
You know what he is? He's Scottie Pippen. If Scottie Pippen ran all over the league, chasing other players to help him win a ring. Yeah, I guess Scottie could have did the same thing that LeBron did.
Yeah, sure. Scottie was just in a position where he was the number 2. If Scottie was the number 1 guy his whole career, that's what LeBron is.
No, if Scottie could have went to the Sixers and played with Charles Barkley, or went to the Blazers and played with Clyde Drexler, or went to the Rockets when they were young, when both him and Hakeem were young, and he could probably won 4 rings too, right? Had he done that? Yeah, Scottie could have done that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, shout out to the Great Black Reset. Well, I guess taking this a little hard. He say telling basketball lies on the Rise Report. I'm gonna say never, never. We don't do that over here, bro. We don't do that over here.
Yeah, no.
I don't care who
we don't have to. We're in Chicago. We don't have to tell lies on basketball.
Yeah,
we don't have to tell lies. We had the greatest show that ever. We had the greatest show that ever happened in Chicago. We don't have to tell lies on basketball.
Exactly.
Football maybe, but not basketball.
Yeah, and I mean, shout out to all the fans out there. But when y'all was out there grieving, we was out there celebrating. It just is what it is, man. It just is what it is. I don't remember my team going to the finals and losing. That's not a part of my life. Okay, that's not a part of. I understand as a fan when your team get all the way to the championship and don't pull it, that could be crushing. That can be crushing. I'm gonna say, as a Chicago fan, I have yet to have that experience. I don't remember any Chicago team losing in the finals. I'm just saying, not in my lifetime. Not in my lifetime. I don't remember the Blackhawks not getting it done. I don't remember the Cubs not getting it done. I don't remember the Sox not getting it done. I don't remember. Well, no, I gotta say I did remember the Bears. No, the Bears. Yeah, they did get into the Super Bowl. Only the Bears. I did see the Bears lose one. I saw the Bears lose one, but the Bulls, I never seen them lose. So I've had only one team that made it to the championship and didn't do it. And you know what? It don't sting as much when everybody else won. I understand other cities can't say that. It don't sting as much that the Bears did lose one. You see, I kind of forgot I saw the Bears lose the Super Bowl.
Lovey got a team to the Super Bowl whose quarterback couldn't have made a good college squad. That's what I remember about that 2006 Super Bowl. That was one of the great coaching jobs ever that Lovie Smith, that brother, pulled off with that Bears team. Because that is by far the worst guy to ever start in a Super Bowl.
Real talk. And you can forgive that when you're in the city where the Sox won, the Blackhawks won 3 times, the Cubs done won, and the Bulls done won 6, and even the previous Bears time, I saw that win. Hey, I'm pretty good. I can let certain stuff go, y'all. I can let certain stuff go. Because there's enough victories for me to not be worried about it so much. But I'm going to get back on to my main man.
We even had the Sting win in 1983. But go ahead.
I'm saying, y'all. I'm saying. If I really want to go there, I can talk about how the Chicago Sky won. But, I ain't no WNBA fan. And heck, even the Chicago Fire, our soccer team won. Okay, I mean, hey, we do what we do over here. I'm just saying, we do what we do over here. Okay, City of Champions, baby. But back to another champion, Arsenio Hall. Okay, and I do think it's important to give him his proper place, y'all, because I think, again, as far as talk shows go, this is the greatest talk show in television history. I do believe that. I believe what he was able to do in a small period of time compared to what other people were able to do with decades. If you give Arsenio Hall those decades that other folks have, ain't no telling what he done did with it. Okay? If you look at, what he was able to accomplish in that short period, because keep in mind, y'all, his show was not a 10-year show. He never went 10 years. I believe his show started in 89, and I believe it stopped it was like 94-ish, 95. He did not even do 10 years. Okay? And relevancy was being on the Arsenio Hall show. If you were relevant back in the day and weren't on the Arsenio Hall show, you really wasn't even relevant for real. You was relevant to a group.
Let me ask you something, Roger. Do you think he would have been better off starting his own show on YouTube?
Arsenio Hall? I mean, the time, see, everything's about timing and technology, what was available at the time. It's never going to be the same because the conditions ain't the same. Because when YouTube even started, it just wouldn't have had the same impact because, YouTube just wasn't around early enough. I don't remember the exact year YouTube came into existence, but it would be different for someone like him. Now, can a talented, if a man is as talented as him get on YouTube today, can he blow up the same? I do believe so. I definitely believe that. It just wouldn't be him because he's older now.
It's kind of hard to compare. Like you say, the conditions. I don't. I mean, the quality of observer today is you're talking about over 35 years ago when this guy started. So the perspective, the mentality, the expectations. That's why I like even comparing, when we had these arguments about like who's the greatest basketball player of all time, for example. It's tough to compare across generations because of the differences in the conditions and whatever. I think a lot of things that younger people expect or exposed to see or whatever is so very different than what and in some ways more open than what it would have been 35 years ago. So what you're going to get excited about, back then you're just not going to get excited about today.
Absolutely. And then you got to all the conditions are different. So now, if he was doing YouTube, would he have great impact? you bring him back, bring his age back down. You put him as a more relevant person of what's going on right now, because now he's an older guy who's been through a blackball situation and all that type of stuff. So it would be different now. But if you put him back at 22, 23, 24, or maybe a 34, when he got a little something under his belt, now could he make a huge impact? Absolutely. Real talk. Because there are people in social media, young folks in social media. I mean, it's a guy named Kai Cenat who's so famous. I learned about who he was just because he was that famous. Young black man with all kinds of followers. Got McDonald's deals and all
like,
kinds of those.
What kind of messaging? What kind of messaging is this guy? Because I mean, I understand he's supposedly very famous and very popular, but and maybe because I am so much older than I guess his target audience, I don't at all know why he is as famous as he is. I mean, can anybody explain that? I've asked my daughter. I've asked, I've yet to have anybody explain why this guy is as famous as he is.
I think he's just flat out. I think it's just he's an extremely likable person amongst young folks. I think that's all there really is to it at the end of the day.
What does that mean though? How do you quantify that in terms of his likability? What about him that they look at or hear and say, wow, this is so much more unique than anything else I'm observing?
I mean, I think he's just a guy who's able to capitalize in a great situation because he's a likable person. To my understanding, he started off just playing video games online, and he started doing things for long periods of time. Like he'll do 24-hour streams and stuff. Then I think he may even done something for like a month where he'll go live for a month, and he had these subscribers on. So I think it's just him being a likable person, and he's doing an excellent job of taking advantage of what the technology situation is right now. But does he have some particular stance on something? Not that I really even know of. And he's just popular to the point that the stars come to his house. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's a particular thing. It's just he's been able to be a likable person, put a lot of time into it, and people saw that as new and exciting, something that had never really been done before, and it benefited him in a great way. So I got to find out more about him to really know if he has a particular type of message, because I don't see one. I'm not aware of one. I've seen some of his stuff, but I'm not aware of any particular message that he has. He just seemed to be a guy who's likable, that tries to come up with new ideas and do fun stuff. That's who he is. So if he can gain what he's been able to gain.
When I hear talking that's why I'm glad I'm old.
Yeah,
that just sounds like some bullshit, and I don't. I don't even say that. I don't mean it to insult you, but I'm like, what the hell did you just say?
No, what I'm saying is I don't see like any defined particular reasoning for him. It's just he's a fun guy who was able to take advantage of having enough freedom to do things that hadn't been done before, to do like a 24-hour stream. No one had heard of something like that before, and the people obviously like him. So he's just taking advantage of great situations. But is there some particular reasoning? I can't tell you what that is. I'm saying straight up, I can't tell you what that is. So now, if you take a person like an Arsenio Hall and you put him in today's time, can he shine on social media? I don't see how he can't. I just don't see how he can't. And that's no disrespect to Kai Cenat, because he done been able to accomplish a lot of great things, and I'll probably do some more stuff on him in the future. So, I got nothing but respect for the guy, because, I like to see a young black man getting money the way he's doing and not having to be in a compromised position to do it. I like that about him. So I'm looking at stuff that he's able to do. If I think, a younger version of Arsenio Hall comes into the world now, could he make the same type of impact he made back then? Yeah, it's possible. It's very possible, because Arsenio Hall has a mindset that I don't see other people's necessarily have, you know, which is why I believe he was able to make the impact he made in that short span of time. Because his talk show didn't even last 10 years. You know, he was, in the grand scheme of things, as far as talk shows go, he's in and out. You know, most talk shows, they want you to do, 20, 30 years or whatever the case is. I'm not saying other talk shows haven't went away because they really couldn't cut the mustard. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what happens. You have other talk shows that have come to existence for a short period of time, but they really couldn't cut the mustard when it came to an audience or to appeal or any kind of impact at all. You don't even really remember the host name. So I've seen talk show after talk show come into existence and then they go away because nobody really paid attention to these people. But that wasn't the Arsenio Hall situation. Everybody paid attention to Arsenio Hall.
Well, also, a lot of things is a product of the timing. Arsenio was very talented. He also was, he had access to an unserved or underserved market, and that was sort of the Black urban market. That there wasn't a lot of attention and respect given to that, even though it was a very valuable market. It was not appreciated by essentially white America, I guess. So he was kind of the right guy in the right place, the right time. He had the right relationships. He was already connected in Hollywood. He was best friends with Eddie Murphy, which was valuable, obviously in the 80s in particular. So those were sort of a combination of things of why things worked particularly well for him at the time. He also himself, he had been like a stand-up comedian because I think he used to appear on. In fact, I think he did some guest hosting on this was popular 80s music show Solid Gold in the 80s, and he would regularly guest host. The main host was Marilyn McCoo, singer Marilyn McCoo, but he would often, I think, do like little stand-up routines on there and do guest hosting on there prior to getting his own show, his own talk show. So Arsenio was already established. So when he got his show, we all kind of knew who he was, and so that really helped to kind of, he didn't just appear out of nowhere, nobody really not knowing who he was, and we got to all kind of get, because he was in Coming to America, and that movie came out a year or so before his show premiered. He was in Coming to America with Eddie Murphy, so he had a lot of Q rating behind him when that show premiered.
Yeah, real talk. And again, the greatest comedy ever to this day. I'm saying to this day, one of the greatest comedies ever, if not the actual greatest comedy movie that has ever been produced, Coming to America. So yeah, Arsenio Hall has some status behind his name, that really can't be denied. And conditions are always happening. It's just, is somebody willing to step up to be the right man or the right woman for the conditions that's going on? And I'm just saying Arsenio Hall was the guy who stepped up to be that right man, because conditions are always happening. Shout out to Narratives and Dialogues. He say, if Black Rule, I read this already, so I'm gonna say shout out to Narratives and Dialogue, the hate man. He said, if Black Rule have not said anything relevant all year long on panels, his last comment, why Castanet is famous, Kai is famous for being weird. Okay. I'm going to say Narratives and Dialogue. I can't agree with you there, brother. I cannot agree with you there. I cannot say he's famous for being weird. When I looked at what was going on with his story, the man actually has done things that have never been done before. Now, I would say you got to look at why he catches so many people's attention, because why he's catching younger folks' attention wouldn't make sense to a lot of older people, because we don't, quote unquote, get it to a certain degree. And I don't think people will take into account how the youth don't have a lot of stuff that we had as we were growing up. You know, they don't know where they live. Okay. They got GPSs and all kinds of stuff. They don't even know where they live. Okay. They know their address, but they don't know where they live. They don't know where they are in relative to their grandma's house. Okay. They don't know where they are in relationship to their uncle's house. You know, the youth is very different now. The youth, they're more technology advanced, but they are very different. You know, you give them something to read in cursive, a lot of them are confused. Okay, so the youth is different. So I'm gonna say why they follow people or why they subscribe to people can very much be different, especially when you are, 20, 30, 40 years removed from it. You know, I'm gonna say that. But I ain't gonna say, put no disrespect to Kai. He's still a young black man who's making an impact in the world, and he's getting money. He got generational wealth now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad he's being smart enough to not to be going and getting random chicks pregnant and all that type of stuff. At least he's doing a good job for now. So my thing is, I ain't gonna disrespect the man because I don't know of him to do anything disrespectful to anyone. Okay, so I'm not gonna disrespect him because to me, as far as I know about him, he's a very respectful young man, and he's never purposely disrespected anyone that I know of. Okay, black, white,
now,
or otherwise.
But didn't he say that those people didn't have any culture? I thought I heard that he had said something like that.
So, I know Compassion Kyle's put that in the chat. I don't know that he said that. Yeah. And if he did,
well, no, I mean that. I mean, you might not know it, but it was a fairly well-known thing. You might not know it, but I mean, I don't think there's any controversy that he said that. Because he's not ADOS. He's not ADOS. He's not, foundational Black America. He's
and that's fine. That's fine. And I'm gonna say, to me, that says black people say that too much. Where does that come from? I do see a lot of black people, those black people who say we don't have no culture. Y'all ignorant. I'm gonna say that. The people who fit that, y'all ignorant. Because you don't even recognize what culture is. Because to say we don't have none kind of proves you don't know what culture is. So he probably just repeating what we done said. And that's one of the problems with us. Stupid about our own culture.
Hold on now. Let him hold his own sack, right? Because you kind of deflecting blame for what he said on the us. And I'm saying, if you don't, hold your own crown. Now, regardless of what we say about ourselves or whatever, if you're not a part of the clan, you don't get to say about me what I may say within my clan. Because I don't know what, for example, Dessalines, I don't know what Haitians say amongst each other in terms of whether or not or how they feel about each other or whatever sort of criticisms they have amongst each other. And it's not even my place to have anything to say about that.
Yeah, and
so I don't accept this business of just because you or I might say something, Roger, amongst ourselves, somebody else should be able to get in saying some shit.
No,
I don't accept that.
I can agree with that wholeheartedly, but I'm also cannot get on a man for doing something I really have no clue about it. I really don't know what's going on in that situation.
Well, no, you ain't got to get on them. You ain't got to get on them. I'm not saying get on them. I'm just saying I heard the same thing too that Compassionate heard. So that puts me in, like a kind of, he's kind of in a, stasis, so to speak, in terms of what he's about and what his credibility is.
And I'm gonna say shout out to Narratives and Dialogue. He said, respectfully, Roger, brother, we love you, but do your research. That's my profession. And I'm gonna say respectfully, Castanet ain't my subject matter. He ain't the person I had to do no research on. I did some research on Arsenio Hall. So y'all threw something in there that I don't know about, and I can't pretend I know about it for the sake of any argument. You know what I'm saying? So I can't say nothing about what Castanet said because number one, I don't know that he said it. Not saying I don't believe it because Compassion Catalyst put it in the chat. Not saying I don't believe it. I don't know what was said. I don't know the context of what was said. And let's keep it real. It's not an intelligent statement, period. Okay. It's hard to find a proper context to say something that stupid at the end of the day, but I'm not going to get on the man for saying something I don't even know nothing about what's going on. It wasn't for me to research because he ain't the subject of the show. Now, if I was doing a show on Castanet and him saying something like that, then of course I would look into that. But that ain't what I'm dealing with. I'm shouting out Arsenio Hall for being the great man he is. That's what I'm doing. Okay. So Castanet ain't important to me today. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he ain't important. I'm not saying he ain't made no impact. But as far as I'm concerned, today he's just not important. Not for today's show. He don't matter for today's show. He'll matter in the future because I look into stuff and I know he's an extremely popular guy. But at the end of the day, again, he ain't the subject of the show. I just said because I saw what he can do. If you ask me, could Arsenio Hall, if he was a younger guy doing what he can do in today's climate, if Castanet can get the following he got, I'm pretty sure Arsenio Hall could do the same thing. And I'm saying probably at a greater level. No disrespect to him, but who's the more talented individual between him and Arsenio Hall? I would have to assume it's Arsenio Hall based on what I've seen with Castanet. So I'm saying, yeah, I think Arsenio Hall would have a huge impact if he was 24 now, starting off into social media. Could he have the impact that he had back then? Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. Real talk. Keep in mind, y'all, he was an executive producer of his show. So a lot of the content and a lot of things they talk about or whatever, he's going to have an understanding of all this stuff and make decisions. He's going to make behind the scene decisions about what they were going to deal on his show because he was an executive producer. So can he, Arsenio Hall, as talented as he was, making a huge impact in today's world? 100%, absolutely. That's all I'm really saying. And all I said was Castanet, using him as an example. If for him to have the great following he got, for me to doubt that Arsenio can do it, no, ain't no way in the world for me to doubt Arsenio. Because just like Black Crew was saying, well, why is he famous? And I'm saying all the stuff I've seen, that's the only thing I can tell you. He's just a likable guy. People like him. And he do stuff that ain't been done before. But other than that, I ain't got no answer. And that's no disrespect to him. I just don't know what it is other than that. I literally don't know. Other than that, of why people follow him so much. And he, to gain the following, stars got to come to him. People, I ain't saying what they got to do, but I'm saying they do use his platform, to help promote whatever it is they doing nowadays. So shout out to him for that. But, Arsenio Hall did that. If you wanted to be respected, even amongst white folks, you was looking for that black stamp of approval, you go to Arsenio Hall show. It just is what it is, y'all. So there's no reason for me to doubt that Arsenio Hall couldn't do the same thing or greater had he just came in this time frame rather than first getting popular in the late 80s. You know what I'm saying? And having such a strong show in the 90s. No, he would be killing it right now. That's what I believe. He'd be killing it right now. And with less people to get approval from, because even though you're an executive producer, let's be realistic, y'all. Being an executive producer in the 90s don't mean you can be carte blanche doing whatever you want to do. You still got to go through other people to approve and sign off on the stuff that you do. And when they don't like what you're doing, what will they do? They just take your show. And that's pretty much what happened to Arsenio Hall. Even though he was driving all that money, even though he was as popular as he was, they did everything they could until they got him off the air. Now, if you're doing that in social media, you get that popular it's kind of known that you just took them off because you don't like them. See, that's the thing about social media. Anybody can, quote unquote, be a star. You know, do you have the appeal? Because you now have the opportunity. You know, because there's people who got millions and millions of followers. Okay, so you know the opportunity is there. It's just, do you have what it takes to become a star? So I mean, you give Arsenio today's world, that man going through the roof. You know, that's just real talk. He going through the roof with it. He was just too talented of a brother, and he has the respect of everybody that you would say was his peer. He had that respect. You know, and again, he putting white people on. You know, it's white people that didn't mess with white people until they went to Arsenio Hall show. Because white people want that black stamp of approval. You know, real talk, as great as Eminem is, you know, because I'll say he's a great rapper, but he was able to do what he was doing the way he did it because Dr. Dre approved him. He don't come out the same way without Dr. Dre's approval. It's a whole different world without that black approval. And Arsenio Hall was giving people the black approval. So he not only put on black folks, he was putting white folks on the white folks. Because again, his show got to #1. Y'all know how hard it is to get a television show to #1? Going against juggernauts that have already been around for decades. But Arsenio Hall was able to do that. You know, you don't just outdo the Tonight Show. That show been on air, I don't know, guessing probably a good 60 years right now. You can't just come in and outdo the Tonight Show. That don't happen. You know, so if you can't see the greatness of Arsenio Hall actually being able to do that, you know, and again, he was using the quote unquote rejects, and he turned the quote unquote rejects to his own advantage. Oh, y'all don't want to see these people on TV? I'll take them. They can come right over here and do their thing. And now I done outclassed everybody. Which again, we got to get this nigga off the air. This nigga doing our stuff way better than we can do. We can't have this. You know you did something right when the white folks want to get rid of you. You know, shout out to Narratives and Dialogues one more again. He said, let's add in I Show Speed, Roger. Great guy, earnestly. Yeah, he. That's another great one. I'm learning about that guy too. I'm definitely learning about that guy too. You know, he's an interesting character, and I actually got a show coming up in the future that he's gonna be. You know, I'm using some stuff from him to deal with that. He's gonna be one of the examples I use. So shout out to I Show Speed. You know, but you know, I am one person, y'all. So I can't know everything about everybody at all times. And I'm never going to pretend I do. That's just me, y'all. I don't pretend that I know a bunch of stuff that I don't know about. So, you know, now if Castanet done said something that dumb about black people, you know, that, you know, of course, somebody should have dealt with it when he said it, truth be told. I just wasn't around or paying attention to him when he did say it because I didn't even know he said it till today. But I'm going to say that's about the dumbest thing you can say as a person. Because you got to be super stupid to say something like that, because you should understand something about culture as an individual person. And if you over 18 and you saying something that's stupid, that's your fault. Can't blame your mama no more. Can't blame your daddy. You saying stuff that's stupid, that's on you at the end of the day. It just is what it is. And Narratives and Dialogue says, oh, he retracted it. Sounds cool to me because I didn't even know he said it. And I think if you say something that's stupid, you should retract at the end of the day, because everyone has a culture, you know. So to be a human being, to not have an understanding that other human beings have a culture, that does say something about how stupid you are as a person, you know. So it is what it is. Okay, it is what it is on that note. But again, somebody like an Arsenio Hall, if he come in today, y'all think he ain't running it? He ain't running the internet. You know, it's now you give him a little bit of a connection like a Eddie Murphy. Now who would be a quote unquote Eddie Murphy of today? Hard to say. Maybe if you could still even say Dave Chappelle. Maybe if he's like a best friend of Dave Chappelle, because Dave Chappelle got enough credibility. You make him like Dave Chappelle's friend or something, you do one of the greatest comedy movies of all time, like he did in Coming to America right now. You think he ain't running these internet streets? No, they definitely doing that. He gonna be a problem, as they would say. He would be a problem, just like he was back then. But I got to give him all the love and respect to know he was a problem. And the only thing he did was put the pedal to the metal. That's saying something about, who Arsenio Hall is. He understands he a problem. And all he doing is putting on the gas. Well, I was doing 60 and they said I'm a problem. So now I'm going to do 180. Okay, I ain't jumping to 90. No, I'm doing 180 because I'm a problem. And I'm going to be a problem till I'm out. I got to love that about the guy. Real talk. Now, I would say this must be a mistake. Shout out to the Great Black Reset. He said Roger needs to retract his LBJ hatred. What is what's the dude's name? Lyndon, was it Lyndon Baines Johnson? What he got to do with anything? Okay. Black, what was that president name? Was it Lyndon Baines Johnson?
You got it right. You got it right. Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ.
Bro, I don't even know what you're talking about, Great Black Reset. I didn't even know you was a fan like that of a former president. I didn't even know you was a fan like that. That's what I'm gonna say, brother. I didn't even know you was a fan. Shout out to No Placeholder. He said, "Happy Christmas to all who come to the cool table. Hashtag long little habitual line steppers. Hashtag brothers in the wilderness." And y'all, now that I think about it, yeah, today is Christmas Eve. So, yeah, today is Christmas Eve, right? Yeah. So I would not be on air tomorrow because tomorrow would be Christmas. Okay. So yeah, today is Christmas Eve. I will not be on air tomorrow. We will come back Friday with another great show. We got some good stuff planned. And y'all, I don't want y'all to not be fans of former presidents. Obviously, the Great Black Reset is a fan of LBJ. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why he's a fan of LBJ like that to make a whole super chat about it. But shout out to him, brother. Shout out to him. Because using the word hatred, if you assume, and I don't hate no president, y'all. So he was wrong even on that one. I don't hate none of the former presidents. Okay. Unfortunately, we don't still have that show, but I told y'all before, the worst president in American history to me is George Washington himself. Yeah, George Washington. The guy that was on the boat in the picture. Yeah, that George Washington. The one they claimed was the first president of the United States who didn't take office in 1789, but we had a United States in 1776. I don't know how you make that make sense. Okay? I don't know how you make that make sense. But hey, it is what it is. Okay?
Well,
so
America did not exist in 1776, though. That was just a declaration of independence. The country was not established until signing of the Constitution, which was what, 1787. There was no country prior to 1787. There was a declaration of separation from England in 1776.
Okay, true. I can't argue with that. True. But somebody's always in charge at some point. So, regardless of his place, he still was the worst president in American history, to my understanding, regardless of his place. Okay. And shout out to Chef Mike Roundtable. He said they were guided by the Constitutional Congress. And I'm going to say, yeah, we did have the what was it? No, it wasn't called the Confederacy of America. We had something before they changed over. We definitely had something. Okay. I just can't remember what it was, but I know it started with a C. I just can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but we had something because we had the Articles of Confederation, which we were being ruled over at that particular time. So I'm saying we had somebody in charge before George Washington, but I'm not even tripping that they gave him first president of the United States, because I'm giving him the worst president of the United States. You know, if y'all missed that show, I'm sorry y'all missed it. You know, it was a great show. You know, it was a great show. But yeah, to me, George Washington was the worst president in American history. But shout out to George Washington, who never thought we'd ever get to the point that we'd get to an Arsenio Hall. Real talk. You know, who did more for black people than George Washington ever did. I'm going to say that. Even when I was happening in this country, you know, he did more for black people than George Washington ever did. You know, so it is what it is to me. So, y'all, I'm finna get ready to cut out a little early because I didn't kind of see everything I wanted to say about Arsenio Hall. You know, I think he's a very respectful choice of being the Ruthless nice guy. I think when you look at his career, he epitomizes being a Ruthless nice guy. He dealt with a lot of stuff, but you never really seen him lose composure at any given point in time. You didn't even hear rumors about him losing composure at any point in time. So I think he's definitely the epitome of a Ruthless nice guy. Real talk. But I'm going to let y'all get some last words out if y'all want to say something. So Emperor Ruckus, any last words you want to say?
They should have never given your ashy Negroes YouTube money and freedom.
They probably regret it. They probably regret it. Now, shout out to Narratives and Dialogues, who says, Merry Christmas, although I do not celebrate. But Roger, 2026, do not take on a channel award manosphere list of best channels. Hint. What keep in mind, I never did anything for it. Manosphere. Black Manosphere and Manosphere, two totally different groups. You disrespect yourself not to put the black in front. Okay? Unless you want to be represented by them crazy white folks. That's all I'm saying. Unless you want them to be your representative, you know, you're doing a disservice to yourself. Okay? You're doing a disservice to yourself. Real talk. But Blackaroo, is there any last words you want to say on the great Arsenio Hall?
Well, there was one message, and we could have actually talked about it a good deal more than what we did. And that is, you know, Arsenio was a part of a contingent of great black producers. I mean, you could also include particularly the Wayans, particularly Keenan Wayans and his brothers. You know, this is all during the same time, you know, the 89, 90, 91, where Fox became a separate network. And a lot of what built Fox was a lot of very talented black people like Arsenio, like Keenan Wayans and Damon and his brothers Marlon. And they were used to build up a network. People get, you know, build up ratings, build up attention, build up esteem for Fox. And then when it's convenient to do so, they're discarded. So the other message that we need to kind of take away from Arsenio, it's a broader message of how America siphons the talent and energy and creativity from black people, become very wealthy from it, and then they discard them. And that's a part of the broader history of this country. Arsenio was a part of that, unfortunately, but that doesn't diminish the great light that he shone during that brief time he was on television. During that time, he did a wonderful job. Was a unique contributor, I guess, to Black American culture and to American culture. And his what he did extend well beyond just the brief time that he was allowed to do what he did. So congrats, Arsenio.
All right, y'all. And I'm going to say it again. Had the greatest talk show in American history. man didn't even do it 10 years. I think it was only about 5 to 6 years that he was on air. You know, you know, I'm gonna say, man, thank you for being you, man. You definitely were a great inspiration. Cause I remember being a young guy trying to watch the Arsenio Hall show myself too. You know, I graduated too though. So shout out to Arsenio Hall for being what he was. Real talk. I doubt I'll ever see someone like you again in this particular lifetime. I'll probably be dead and gone before that happens. And I plan on being here for plenty more decades myself. And I'm gonna say shout out to Floyd Thompson. Floyd Thompson in the super chat says, if you or anyone needs funding for business, hit up my site and we'll find the best options for everyone. pinnaclefinancial.businessfunds.com. Okay. Y'all see that? Okay. And I think he said holiday, but I'm pretty sure he meant happy holidays. So financial.businessfunds.com. Shout out to Floyd Thompson. And see, when your family over here at the Roger Report Live, if y'all got something y'all want to advertise, knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. I ain't offended at all. Floyd, good people. Floyd is good people. So shout out to you, brother. Anybody else who wants to do something like that, you know, you're a regular around here, happy to you know, promote what y'all got going on too. Real talk, y'all. Happy to promote what y'all got going on too. Shout out to Floyd Thompson, another brother making a way, which I'm pretty sure is gonna help a lot of other black men and black people in our world today. So shout out to you, Floyd. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Y'all, so y'all know Christmas, I'm taking off. You know, I don't celebrate the holidays, but I'm taking off for the 6 national holidays. Okay, so we will not be airing tomorrow. We will come back Friday. We're gonna have some fire on Friday for sure. We got to go out with a bang at the end of the week. So y'all have a great day. Appreciate y'all coming through. You know, shout out to Arsenio Hall. One more again. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.